There was an accident. About an hour ago, a small jet went down inside New York City. The podcast was on board.
The podcast of what?
Okay, so that's the one you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I was sort of like, the podcast of what doesn't mean anything.
Fine, then the other one?
What's the other one?
It's the survival of the podcast, Plissken. Something you don't give a shit about.
That is pretty good. That's a good line. That's just a great. God, this movie's front loaded with good lines.
That is true.
First 20 minutes,
Sure.
you're just like, oh my
Well,
god.
because it's Cleef and
Cleef and Russell are
Right,
really
right.
gelling.
Those are two guys. Yeah. It's also, I mean, like, I feel like Russell has acknowledged how much Plissken is, like, vocally Eastwood, right?
Right.
Is him doing his Eastwood impression.
Right.
So there's something about, like, a young buck with an eye patch.
Is that true, though? Like, has they talked about it at all? That it's supposed to be? Okay.
Yeah, I found there was some quote from him, I think, in the notes that our own J.J. Bursch put together, where he was talking about, like, all the different parts that went into Plissken.
He says...
Right.
He's a mercenary. His style of fighting is a combination of Bruce Lee, the Exterminator, and Darth Vader with Eastwood's vocals, but there's a lot of new wave to him as well.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of shine and bounce to his hair, that's for sure.
The like Lisa Says "Ga" pants.
His pants are so cool. The gray camo, like when
it's
he's
not even camo.
when he's
It's
doing
just like
this
weird swirly pattern.
It's so good.
Who are the two people in the dossier? I know Charles Bronson was the one, and then there was another.
Tommy Lee Jones. Who,
Right.
I mean,
amazing.
I'd love to see it.
Amazing.
I mean, Tommy Lee Jones, dare I say, would have rocked the house.
No, but here's the only problem.
Can you imagine Tommy Lee Jones with that hair?
Oh, I mean, he and like in like Under Siege, he's got long hair. I've seen, but the only problem is I don't buy that Tommy Lee Jones would go into. He'd be like, no, and I'd be like, yeah, he doesn't want to do that. Like, he just doesn't seem like someone who wants to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes. There's also there's the satirical edge that comes only from Russell playing it, from him sort of being a little bit in on the joke, and I think it's aided by the fact that it's like, for audiences, you're watching a Disney star now playing the toughest guy in the fucking universe.
You know what I mean? Where like it just feels like it would be like me seeing Tommy Lee Jones in person, being like, "Don't you want to be in this movie?" And he'd be like, "No, I don't want to do that."
Russell was the right choice. I'm just saying, Tommy Lee Jones would have fit. Charles Bronson would have been a problem.
He would have just been overwhelming. He would have been doing Charles Bronson.
Right. Exactly.
Too old, probably too.
Exactly.
I don't know. He'd be all right.
To a certain degree, it's like there's the fact that he so fully creates a character for this movie. You think about other like action icons, especially of the 80s, right? And their breakthrough movie is kind of the distillation of their base level persona.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, McClane, it's taken all the sitcom comedy past of Willis. It's putting him into this underdog sort of ornery mode, right? And like Arnold breaks through playing barbarians and robots,
right.
Mm-hmm.
And Stallone being this sort of like weary underdog, this broken guy,
and Seagal, I mean, he counts as 80s, and he's like mysterious, and like calm and intriguing,
which is so funny to think about in retrospect.
Yes.
That that everyone's like, what's this guy's deal? What's going on with him? He walks into a room, and I want to know more.
What a quiet power to this.
It's like I don't. All of those other people, where I'm like, they're with their current personas, I'm like, that still totally jives with what I think of their past personas. But Steven Seagal, looking at him now, I'm like, I can't watch his old movies anymore. It's like that. It doesn't work for me.
It's wild. It's wild. It's also just wild. Look, we did our whole Steven Seagal episode. We did our Under Siege Dark Territory episode in the past.
This is true. And I'll just jump in and say I kind of agree. It's like I loved Seagal movies growing up, but there's just something about who he has become that's real sticky.
Our episode was
literally and figuratively
5 years ago now,
long time ago,
if not more. And I feel like he just gets worse by like the hour.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm every morning I open up the laptop and I check.
What's the term for like chemical deterioration rate again? Like it's
his
his
half-life or whatever. Yeah, sure.
No, but it's like I go to New York Times and I look at the charts and I'm like, how's the spread of Delta going? What has Seagal done today? What has devalued in the Steven Seagal universe? It's just fascinating that Steven Seagal is just like oh, like Hollywood power agents and executives are going to his karate dojo and they're just like, this guy is fascinating.
Yeah.
He needs to be on screen. And then you watch him, I'm like, I think I figured him out pretty quickly.
I don't know. He's pretty compelling.
He's compelling. I'm just saying the idea that he had this sense of like calm mystery
very
to
calm,
him.
very calm. This is my point, just Van Damme. This is why I don't think Van Damme ever quite had that.
Correct.
And it's why maybe he was never quite the A
yes.
star.
And I like Van Damme movies, but I do think there was not that crystallization role for him in that same
Except
sort
that
of
he
way.
was like flexible.
Hey,
Right.
but
that's
is
not
there
really
a
personality.
karate actor now? Do we have like a guy who's good at martial arts and now is an actor?
Yes, but they are stuck in direct-to-video, direct-to-Redbox. I mean, it's like Michael J. White and Scott Adkins.
Yeah.
Right.
Those
I guess
are
there's
our
not
best physical.
It's like either that or they're foreign actors.
they're
So
like
they
Tony
just don't get
Jaa,
cast.
someone who's like it's mostly. I'm trying to think of
Sorry,
like.
I'm saying in the American system, those are our two best guys.
I'm just generally,
and they
like,
don't get to do big screen.
Well,
if
the
they
other
do,
problem
it's
is you can like
thankless roles.
previs.
Yes.
Everything now, so you can make anyone look like like they can do impossible physical movements, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
that's
also
the problem.
just like, I mean, I think I've thrown out this bullshit before, but the fact that like on Iron Fist they would like show him the choreography 30 minutes before he had to start filming.
Right.
And it's like, not only did they not hire a guy with a background, which of course
they didn't even
those
like
guys
train
exist.
him,
right?
Oh, I thought of someone. Ronda Rousey.
Oh no.
Yeah, but she didn't really take off. Like
But
they
she was
tried-
in movies, right?
I mean, look, I think she's good and Furious.
No, she's
7.
not.
Yes, she is.
She's not good.
Yes, she is.
She's fine.
Yes, she is. But I do think she was so charismatic in the ring and in interviews that people were like, this is going to translate. Rather than someone like Gina Carano, who was like physically impressive, but was kind of lacking in personality for a while.
It's funny that
and then the
Bautista.
second Ronda Rousey like did
Bautista's
SNL, it was
top,
like,
obviously.
oh, maybe there's not a thing here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just funny that we're having this conversation when Kurt Russell probably punches 2 people total in this movie.
Well, this
Yeah.
is
He
what
has
I'm
the
gonna
one fight
say.
in the ring that's a little
Yeah.
more, but like he's not even. This is
Well,
he
all
looks
the fights
normal.
are sort of funny, where they're all sort of slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're they're kind of a
Yes.
little goofy too.
Yeah.
And he looks. I mean, I think he's so handsome, but he
Yes.
doesn't have like
Yes.
a body that like is insane or anything. He kind of looks
Well.
like a pretty
He looks very
in shape
arms, though,
dude.
the
And I mean,
gun.
he's
No,
got
he
great
looks
arms.
good, but compared to some of the guys we've been
He's
talking
not a
about,
Schwarzenegger type
yeah.
where you're like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god, what a
right,
specimen
Stallone
this
starts
person
getting
is.
so yoked, all these sorts of people, even like Chuck Norris and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like when people have veins in their arms, you're like, I didn't think that my arms had
Yeah.
veins,
Yeah.
like
I
sticking
thought it
out
was
in
just
that
one
way.
thing. Like,
Right,
I didn't
right. I didn't realize it was ridged in that way.
Right.
I just think it's fascinating, and it's part of the key to the success of this movie, and certainly its legacy. And I feel like, despite the fact that, yes, he does not do a lot of action, Snake Plissken tends to be thought of as like one of the Mount Rushmore iconic action heroes, right? Certainly of the last like 40 years or whatever.
Yeah.
That it is like a guy who is so desperate to shatter his previous persona that he just creates a full stop character that feels so distant from him. And even what he does with Carpenter later, that it is just really like a character and not a movie star persona, even though it's driven by movie star energy. And that anyone else in this role, it's like Tommy Lee Jones, if he had done this and it had worked, he would have been Snake Plissken. That would have been his iconic role, his
Can
default.
you imagine what Metal Gear would be if Tommy Lee Jones
Right.
had been Snake Plissken?
But even that, like the fact that like Snake Plissken gets ripped off so much more than John McClane does, because the key to John McClane is Willis. It's not on the page.
Yeah.
Whereas like Russell and Carpenter constructed something, which is
I
very
also-
interesting to me.
Yeah, like, kind of to that point, I feel like this is not a character that is easy to do, or in fact, like the whole movie, its tone is like not something that you can kind of do anymore. Like where it's very earnest, and it's like, yeah, he's doing this voice that's clearly put on, but it's not supposed to be funny at all. Like
Yes.
it is like this
If someone
guy's
did
super
this now,
fucking cool.
you would most likely like be snickering at them almost immediately if they're like, "I'm a tough guy."
I was sort of thinking about it. It's like I think the only person who has tried to do this in serious earnestness is like Nicholas Winding Refn, and people do laugh. Like
They do
that
snicker
his
at it,
movies.
although that's part of the fun, much
Yes.
like this, I suppose. So that's a good call. But right, like Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, these guys,
Yeah.
they're trying to be a little vulnerable, a
Well,
little
okay.
personable. They're lunkheads. They're fun, right? Yeah.
Two-pronged thing I want to say.
Yeah.
One, I do think Cage upheld this for a while, certainly in his Bruckheimer run. Right now, when he's doing action movies, half the time he's phoning them in.
Right? It's the same where you're like, is this guy fucking kidding? Like, and you're
right.
like, I
the
like
Con Air
it,
performance
but,
is absolutely towing that line. Whereas, what's impressive about Snake Plissken is you know what level Russell's on. Like, there's none of that. Like, is this guy fucking up? Questioning that you get sometimes with a Cage Con Air, or at least the public did at the time, right?
Right.
Or it's like, is this brilliant or is he an idiot?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Russell, you understand how in on the joke he is without selling it out. The
But
other
it's
thing,
cool. Like,
Yes.
this is a cool
You think
action
this
movie.
that's what's
cool?
fascinating.
Yeah.
Wait, you think Snake
Absolutely.
Plissken's a cool guy?
Yes.
He's
Eye
cool.
patch.
His fucking name is Snake,
Do you-
motherfucker.
Wait, did you notice that he has a snake tattooed
Of
onto his
course I
chest?
did.
Wait, I have a
David,
big question
coming
about
out of
this.
his dick?
Does the tail?
Yes.
Does the tail go into the dick?
Well, I think it goes. I
his
think
tail's a peepee. His
Well-
peepee's a rattle.
Oh, that's a good call. Well,
because it's
the
a
other
cobra.
Yeah.
So, but here's the question: does the tail
Oh.
just touch the top of the
So it's a basket,
to
Griffin.
use Griffin's nomenclature, pee-pee? The pee-pee. Or does it? Has he tattooed his entire
all the
penis
way.
black?
Right.
Which,
Mm.
in my opinion, would be a bad move, and I don't think he should do
Right.
it.
I
Your
would have
question if
imagined
it's-
just along the top.
Ooh, oh.
That's what I was
Like
thinking.
it comes to a point,
Yes,
but it goes
yes.
down the penis. But like,
Yeah.
Also,
If you
wouldn't
tattoo your
want it to be
penis-
the head of the snake?
well, okay, well, so then, but the head's here. I mean, the head's on his tummy.
But just like in retrospect, wouldn't you be like, isn't it?
well, there's
I
a
don't
bunch
know.
of one.
Or
Is he
because more people are
circumcised?
gonna
Look, there's
see
a lot of
this.
questions.
Yes.
Two, if you tattoo your
Guess,
penis,
by the way, is physically miming out. Yeah. Okay.
and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm sure I could Google,
Hey,
and I'm sure
sound
there's a
off
whole.
in the comments. Out
If you
there,
tattoo
guys.
your penis,
let us know what you think.
how does it deal with an erection? Like, and like, is that a conversation you have to talk to your? Because you know how like Mike Tyson got Che Guevara like tattooed on his tummy, like a face.
Yeah.
And then he got kind of fat, and then Che Guevara was like, like he had this like weird sort of smush Che,
like a poltergeisty kind of face now.
and it was like, and then tattoo people were like, yeah, you know, you have to be careful about like body because
yeah.
like your body will change shape, and then
Yeah.
like
I feel like
if
snake
it's a
is not
face,
too bad, right? Because it's not that
The
detailed.
snake
if it's
is
the
very.
tail.
It's just like a blocky.
It didn't look that detailed on the top either. So
But I just My question is just: is his whole penis the tail of the snake or not? I guess that's the question. Like, is
if it was my call as a character designer, I would have the tail going down the top. That's my.
That would be
my
your
That's
call.
what I do. I do just the surface, just the top.
Or if you're feeling really extreme, have the tail go around.
Oh, that would be fun. Coiled.
Here's the more important
That would
question.
be fun.
Yes, that would be fun. That'd be a creative use of space.
That also, I do feel like would make the erection more interesting. Is that
Well,
crazy
that would
to
be
say,
problematic.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Again, you're stretching the skin, and I don't know what that looks like when.
Sure.
Right. And also, is he a grower? Like,
Well,
is
I
he
was
circumcised? One. Where's this ending? And
Right.
two,
Yeah.
is he a grower? Because if he's a shower, then you're probably all right.
Let's be
He
honest,
just got a
though.
long dong. What?
Plisken's probably both.
You think
Yeah.
like he takes it out and you're like, that's a big soft dick, and then it gets hard and you're like, whoa, there's more.
Yes. This is, of course, a show where we talk about penises in film. It's Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
I'm
Dog
David.
check.
Dog Check. This is a podcast about filmographies. In earnest, it's about filmographies. Directors who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes they escape from New York, baby. And this is a mini-series on the films of John Carpenter. We're calling it They Podcast.
That's right.
I wanted it to be called Podscape from Newcast.
Yeah,
You
that's
sure
good.
did.
Thank you.
That's not good,
Thank
Karen.
you. It's
That's
good.
not good.
It's good.
No.
It's good. And our guest is right. Karen Hahn, thank you very much for returning to the show and validating the right opinion.
Thank you for having me back.
This is Escape from New York,
Mhm.
is what we're talking about.
Yep.
1981, John Carpenter film, starring Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken,
Now, can I say something?
who has a snake tattoo on his chest and possibly penis, but we don't know.
We don't know. I assume he had the makeup people do it onto his penis, even though it didn't.
I
Would it,
show.
assume
would
if
it
I
be
s-
worse if you saw that guy and then he took off his pants and it just faded out and it didn't go on the
you're
I
dick?
would
Correct.
think that would cowardly. I would.
Yeah.
Right. I would think that cowardly.
I guess what would even be worse is if it didn't even fade out. It's just a severe
It just
cut off.
stops.
What if you-
Yeah.
Somehow shaped your pubic hair to sort of
Ooh.
reflect, like I don't
Like
know.
it's coming out of a thicket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
don't
had
know.
said like a basket, because it's a cobra.
Uh-huh.
So I think that would kind of be a fun motif.
To someone and
Yeah.
you're like, I need
A wicker
basket
pattern?
cubes.
Yeah.
I need
I also need to know how to maintain this.
Right, and-
forever,
and then I'm gonna
in
need-
perpetuity.
Well, you got to get a shape up every
Yeah.
once in a while.
I
just one. Kurt Russell recently in Guardians 2, of course, bragged about the fact that his character had a penis on screen.
Sure, this is a
Great
thing
scene.
I was gonna build a bridge to, but go on.
Oh,
your
you're gonna
second
build a bridge
point.
to it. But two, I just strikes me as the kind of guy, if I sat down with him and I'm like, hey, Overboard, was that funny? He's like, we had a great time. And I'm like, so, Snake, like, does the
Yeah.
snake go all the
You
way
have
to
to
the
build up
penis?
to
He'd be
it.
like, yeah, sure it does. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, he's thought about
With
it.
Snake Plissken, he paints the underside of the drawers. He
Snake
knows.
Plissken is his guy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
loves him. So you probably like, yeah, of course he does. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
Or does it go around?
Or does it go around, Kurt?
Anyway.
Kurt Russell plays, of course, Star-Lord's father in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, Ego, the living planet.
Yes, and there was an interview with him I remember reading where he said, like, I wasn't really into these superhero movies. I didn't see them. And then they send me this first one after they offer me the part. And, like, from the moment he, like, is picking up the alien and singing into it like a microphone, I went, I get it. This guy's doing what I was doing in the 80s. Now, here's what I think is interesting. As you said,
A high compliment from him, obviously.
a high compliment.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where
Everyone liked Chris Pratt for a minute there.
right. And it did feel like he was being pretty savvy in his characterization of how he fit into these blockbusters,
Yeah.
And even like I would give him at the time.
Because that was really like right post Parks and Rec, right?
He's
Right.
like literally just coming off Parks
Right.
and Rec. We're still kind of rooting for him.
Right. And he's having this good
was
like supporting
chubby,
actor
fun
run of
on a
Moneyball,
Ferris.
Zero Dark 30,
Wanted.
5-year engagement, Wanted, of course.
He gets hit in the face with the keyboard and
Yep.
his teeth
It says fuck you.
come out and it says fuck you.
Does
Yeah.
some opening credits cucking, right? I think.
He definitely has like very sweaty, chubby sex with someone. I can't
Wastes no
remember
time. But yes, people were rooting for him, right? And I think it did feel like, oh, he's doing this kind of thing Kurt Russell's doing, where to a certain degree he is deflating the action star at the same time that he's upholding it. You know?
Right.
What I do think is interesting is that Star-Lord, and then this kind of becomes de rigueur for the Marvel movies, it's like you don't have the guys be a genuine badass, right?
Mm-hmm.
The entire universe keeps on deflating them. And much like Snake Plissken, it's like, oh, our biggest action stars, they don't really fight that much. You're like, well, like Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth fight.
Sure.
But it's like, I don't think about Star-Lord fighting.
He's not, I
Right,
don't
he
think of
does a
him as a
dance
great
battle.
fighter.
Right.
Exactly.
And likewise, Iron Man, it's like, I think of a video game character shooting lasers.
well, yeah, he does his
Yeah.
zaps and stuff. But right,
Right.
I'm not like what a martial expert.
Right, like Iron Man 3 is a movie where he is going in and having like hand-to-hand combat and shit like that. But it is
Yeah.
this funny thing where like that has become the type now, which feels like the multiple decades later evolution or devolution of the Kurt Russell thing, where it's like, and this is the thing Kurt Russell said in this interview I remember. He was like, when I was doing those movies at the time, people didn't get it. And I see that he's doing the same things and taking the same risks I'm getting. It's very exciting to me to see that it's like accepted by the public, But I do think there's a stronger telegraphing of the joke in the Marvel movies versus like a Snake Plissken, where yes, part of it is like, is this guy for real?
This is not on topic at all, but speaking of the Russell family interviews, I love that Kurt Russell's like, yeah, I don't really watch those, but there was like an interview that Wyatt Russell did for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where he went on and the interview, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, was like, so were you like a huge fan of like the Marvel comics as a kid? Because everyone in that series is like, yes, I loved comics when I was growing up.
Yes.
And then Wyatt Russell's like, well, I played sports, so no. It's just incredible.
This one, Riot Russell he's special. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that
I
guy
think
is
he's really
because he
special.
has that weird kind of like, hey man, what's up? Like Kurt Russell thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lodge
he was
49,
in,
amazing.
Everybody wants. I was like, who is this guy? This guy is magnetic. And then
Yes.
it's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's kid.
I also think, Falcon and the Winter Soldier totally sells him out in the final episode.
It's a horrible series.
I mean, I don't
I
like that
thought-
show that much. I thought he was good. It's
Yeah.
a weird role.
This is what's fascinating.
Yeah.
I started
Yeah.
out that series. Not to
You
go
were
on
into
the whole
it. You were
fucking-
more into
Well, I
it.
started out and I was just like, fuck it. This is the exact Marvel shit. Whatever. This should be a movie. This shouldn't be 8 hours long. Whatever. And then as I was was going on, I was like, fuck, are they like doing this? Or are they pulling it off? And then the last episode bailed out everything I thought was interesting about it in a way that totally killed my vibe. But
Don Cheadle, though, really good performance by him, nominated by an Emmy.
No, I was going to say,
so funny.
Wyatt Russell was, I think, genuinely kind of incredible in that until they sell out his character.
His Emmy nomination is for Space Jam 2.
That's true.
Yes.
Right.
Al. Well, Algie Rhythm rigged the Emmys to get him a nomination for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
He's hosting the Emmys. Algie.
Yeah, I heard Pete was also nominated in 12 categories this year. My point is, I think the Wyatt Russell performance in that is very interesting just because he is playing this guy who is trying very hard to be like a Hollywood action star.
The character is interesting. And it's also like, I thought this with both him and with Florence Pugh and Black Widow, where it's like, like when someone really has charisma, it makes a huge fucking difference.
Yeah. But I also, I admire how dark he genuinely goes on that show, you know? Anyway.
Look,
Kurt Russell.
Did you introduce our guest? I can't remember.
I did. Karen Hahn.
Karen Hahn.
Producer Ben's here. Griffin David. Blank check. We talk
Karen.
about penises.
What's up?
Hi.
Hi.
You're here.
I am here. In person.
In person.
People on Reddit.
A great way to start any sentence.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where
the
this
people
goes.
on Reddit. No, I'm very happy we're doing this in person. We've had a fun run of doing these, being able to do a bunch of these in person, which has been much better. And then now we realized, like, we booked like 10 consecutive long distance people in a row.
We did, but we'll do the Patreons in person,
yes.
and obviously there's more in person opportunities. Yes.
But on the Reddit, Blankies, as they are wont to do, obsessively monitor Letterboxd activity and put together that both you and David had rewatched this movie very close to each other.
Makes sense.
Oh, sure.
And you had to be the guest. And then everyone was sort of pointing out, like, that makes perfect sense. Big KB energy in this movie. Now, I had not considered why you picked this, other than that.
It's a good movie. That's
good. and beyond that, you were one of the people we gave a slot to, obviously, in March Madness last year. And then when Carpenter won, we went out to most of the people who we had given that sort of a slot to and gave them an early pick on this or, an earlier series or whatever. But you just immediately wanted this. Is that the main juice of the movie for you? Is the Borgnine, Harry Dean Stanton, Pleasance?
I actually sort of forgot until I watched it again last night, where it was like, it just is a good movie. And it's so, Snake is so iconic and it's just a cool movie. It's cool. That was my reasoning for a pick for it. But watching it, it's like, this is just full of primo dudes. He's so hot.
He's so hot.
He has a face like an anime villain. Does this make sense?
Yes, it does.
Where it's like if he was in Neon Genesis Evangelion, it'd be like, yeah, that's totally correct.
And like, Westerns are the anime showdown movies of their era with the faces and the, noises. And
everything about him is good. He has the coolest fucking name. He has the coolest face. Nothing he does is bad.
The earring is the most important costuming choice in the history of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Why does he have an earring? He's like the police commissioner, and he's just like this fucking sexy ass old man with these cheekbones that are at like a 20-degree, like they're so arched.
My father once referred to him as the man with the gun slit eyes.
Yeah, he's right. He's got this very, very, very impressive sort of.
He's got
whatever
snake
section
eyes.
of his face, forehead to nose.
Right, it's the fucking iconic. I mean, it's like becomes one of the most legendary shots in cinemas that you're able to construct a sequence
of him looking
out of the tension of his eyes just taking up a widescreen.
But
frame.
then he turns, and you're like, "This motherfucker have an earring? He's a gold hoop in his ear."
I've always I wish he was my dad, and I would let him discipline me. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Or you would be like, yes, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I would be like, absolutely, sir.
I'm going to ask an embarrassing question. Does he have a tiny ponytail in this, or do I always just add that in my mind?
He doesn't have a tiny ponytail in
this.
He's got
with the earring, I always think there's like a little like bowfinger ponytail in the back.
Well, he's got the sort of... and now I'm looking at pictures of him and just having a nice time. But, he's obviously bald.
Yes.
And he's got this kind of like
it's just longer
hair
in the back.
Okay.
That's a little long.
Okay.
for a bald guy.
I mean, it's
but
also cool that he's kind of what Carpenter aged
I was about
into.
to say, he basically looks like John Carpenter now, with just Carpenter's hair is not as curly.
Yeah.
But like apart from that, it's
But
like
even, like, the way he
Carpenter's basically
dresses and
cultivated.
What are his
this
hobbies?
vibe.
What are Cleef's hobbies? What does he like to do?
Kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, he's not with us anymore, right? Surely.
No, he's dead.
Right. He
What if
died.
Lee Van
He
Cleef
died
was
pretty
still
young.
with us and was like 130? He
He
died
would
when?
be
He died in 1989,
He
so
would-
he's 64. It's not really
right.
that
He would
old.
be in his like. He
Yeah.
would be very old now. He would
Yeah.
be in his like late 90s. But he was born in the 20s. What were his
He
hobbies?
died younger than I would have thought. Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you this.
He began a business in interior decoration with second wife Joan, as well as pursuing his talent for painting, primarily of sea and landscapes.
I'll tell you this though. He's buried
Yeah.
in Hollywood Hills. He's buried at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery
Yeah,
in
those
Hollywood
rules.
Hills, and
Yeah.
his grave marker reads "Best of the Bad,"
Wow.
referring to his
Cool.
many performances as villains
Yeah.
over the years. Best of the Bad.
What a cool
I
fucking
mean, he
guy.
was the bad.
Yeah.
He sure was. We love him
Yeah.
in this movie. But yeah, he is one of many potential KBs that the fans were identifying. Because Karen, you like... I mean, do we have to relitigate this?
No, I
There's
mean,
just
I
a certain
don't
sort of
know.
actor
The
you're
concept of a
intrigued by. You
Karen's
might be a
boy.
little sick of talking about
No,
it.
I love talking. Well, I actually haven't had to talk about it for a while because I haven't done my yearly KB video for a while because I just haven't had the time to do it.
You did.
Yeah.
You skipped in. 2020 just sort of a tough year to.
That's
revisit.
also true.
Also,
Right.
I would argue a bad year for KBs. I feel like we lost a lot of face-heavy character actors of
Yeah.
an earlier generation in 2020. Am I wrong about that?
Probably.
A lot of old people died, so I guess
That's
just
true.
in that balance,
I will say that. I mean, obviously, like both for COVID and unrelated reasons.
Yeah.
I feel like we lost a lot of people of a generation.
Yeah.
I think it was a disastrous year for KBs, even though I'm not necessarily thinking of specific
Only for
ones we
KBs.
lost.
Well,
Yeah.
it was also just a tough year for movies.
Yeah.
Last year, so
Yeah.
not as many good movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And that's just going to rob us of opportunities for boy ogling.
Well, new KBs,
Yeah.
sure, yes, right. it
Oh,
was
sure.
disastrous.
Well,
in
I
that
mean, that's
category.
always a tough category for
Yeah.
new people to enter the
People really have to pay
pantheon.
their dues and age into
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the last one I did was in 2018, so it really has
Wow.
been a
oh,
while.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
This year could be huge.
I mean, if I get back on, what is
There's
it?
a backlog.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What am I going to do? Does it have to be 3-year retrospective if I do it?
You can do whatever you want.
add
You,
anyone
you
who's
have
at
the
the top.
power.
Yeah.
It's sort of your thing. It's your category. The whole magic of it, in my opinion, is that it's not defined or codified. Like people can move in and out. It's up to you. It's very subjective. So
I remember a while ago. I mean, I always tweet about my crushes, but then somebody responded to being like, "Karen, this is just some man," and I was like, "Well, yeah, that's the category."
well, wait, who was the one who was just?
I don't even remember anymore.
Isaac Hayes, KB. I guess Isaac Hayes became a sort of problematic figure later in life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at some KBs.
But Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh,
is.
absolutely. Well,
right.
the thing about him is he's looked old for his entire life. Like
Right.
if you go on Google image search and you go Harry Dean Stanton young, it just doesn't exist. Like even the pictures of him when he's young, he like looks like at least 45.
He sure does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
impressive.
It's the eyes. It's the sort of sunken eyes he has, where he just looks
He's got so sweet,
like a sleepy boy.
sweet
you know.
little eyes. Look at him.
He does.
He's got those king shark eyes.
So we're talking about Escape from New York, Griff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just trying to like clock some KB celebrity deaths. Terry Jones,
Yeah.
Jerry Stiller.
Yeah.
I don't think I totally knew Terry Jones died. That's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
Love Terry Jones.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that was even sadder because like then everyone tried to book Michael Palin on their show and have him
Right.
talk about it because they were best friends.
Here's a question.
Michael Palin is
He's
all time for Karen.
so sweet.
My favorite. Was Max von Sydow a KB or was he too pretty?
Oh yeah, no. He
was in there?
yeah.
So
So
that's another one.
devastatingly pretty, though. as a
Yeah,
young
he
man.
was.
Brian
That's right.
Dennehy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, we lost a lot of KBs.
Yeah.
Buck Henry,
Sure.
Ian Holm.
Yeah. That was.
Oh
a sad
yeah, he
one.
died.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, and then you'd be like, "Was it COVID?" It's like, no, they were in their like late 80s.
This is
and you're
what
like,
I'm
"Oh, I
saying.
suppose you're
There
right."
was
right?
just
Yeah.
a certain generational
It's just-
wrecking
right,
here.
there's
Yeah.
just, people
They're just
get
getting
older.
old. Yeah. I mean, Harry Dean Stanton also passed away fairly
He did.
recently.
He was very old, wasn't he? He was,
Yeah,
he
91 years old, 2017.
James Lipton.
Yeah, okay.
Karen
Right.
has a glass of water, and I'm waiting for the one that will make her do a spit take. Hugh Keys burn.
Yeah.
Regis?
Regis, I liked Regis.
I agree with that. I don't think we're going to be calling Regis sexy, but we like Regis. What, Little Richard?
Little Richard.
I don't.
On top
I
of
don't
spaghetti,
want to speak
is
for
he? David,
Yes.
this episode of Blank Check is brought to us by a very special sponsor. Our friends at 3Chi, okay? They've re-upped Blank Check. And they released, they sold Delta 8 products, which were the first federally legal THC products sold in the USA since Prohibition started almost 90 years ago. It's a federally legal version of THC. It's a more functional alternative to marijuana for those who want the same great feelings without the negative side effects.
Yes. You don't have you get the buzz, but you don't get the laziness, the paranoia, the fogginess, the anxiety, that stuff. Yeah.
And I bring up the negative side effects because I am a person who does not like being high.
Yeah, sure. That's not an experience you seek out. Sure.
No, it has not happened in about 15 years. But man, these our kind friends at 3Chi cannot stop sending me stuff. I have received 3 boxes in the last week. Three. Can I run down some of these products, David? And you can feel free to butt in with whatever other must-read points from the copy you feel are worth sharing.
Yep.
Okay. Box 1. 3Chi 8 balls. They're like rainbow-colored candy balls. Mm-hmm. Okay?
And
Rice
to give
Krispie
you...
treat.
Right, they got the Rice Krispie treat. To give you an idea, they invented this whole industry. It's going to have you feeling amazing, yet be functional and clear-headed instead of lazy and paranoid. Just keep going.
Fruity Pebbles treat. Mm-hmm. This is a sugar cookie.
Of course. And, it's 100% hemp-derived. It's federally legal. It's available online at 3chi.com. That's the number 3chi.com. And at select retailers around the country. You have to be 21 to purchase it.
Watermelon gummies. Black raspberry gummies. A brownie.
I will say that me and a friend of the show each ate a watermelon gummy and watched the movie Eon Flux recently. And it was pretty fun.
People can look at your letterbox and figure this out. There's an oil dropper called Comfortably Numb. There's a cartridge for a vape pen that is pancake flavored.
This is the thing. Go ahead. Pancake
No,
flavored,
I don't know what this is, but it says Blue Dream. Go on.
Well, if you go to 3chi.com, and again, that's the number 3chi.com, you can shop for vapes, gummies, tinctures, oils that can be used to make homemade edibles. And if you use code BC2021 at checkout, you will receive 5% off your order. You must be 21 to purchase it.
That's just box 1. Box 2, ice cream, cake, flavored, vape, oil.
Look, they got a lot of cool
gummies,
flavors.
More brownies, more cookies. Are these they're both sugar cookies. But then box 3, 2 boxes wasn't enough. They had to send me a third smaller box just with 2 packets of root beer taffy.
Ooh, I didn't get that one. Maybe it'll show up soon. That's
exciting. I think because you want it, David. I think I'm playing hard to get, and they know that. And they're going to keep on sending me stuff until I break down. I have to say, I'm feeling very tempted.
Yeah, they're very easy to use. Very nice. So that's 3chi.com. Code is BC2021. You're going to get 5% off your order. You must be 21 to purchase. All right.
Root beer taffy.
Escape from New York.
Yes.
It's a film by John Carpenter.
Correct. That's correct.
This is the first one with John Carpenter's?
I believe that's right. Where he is right now fully marketable as an auteur.
He's just a cool dude.
He's a pretty cool dude. Can't deny it. Mm-hmm. He had made the film Halloween,
which was a hit.
Very successful.
Very successful.
So that's his guarantor, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And then The Fog also, while not as
post-Halloween,
seismic, is a big hit.
He's got The Fog, which does well. He did
powerful.
Elvis, of course, on television, which did well. And Kurt Russell's sort of transitory project into serious acting.
Right. It's that and Used Cars, which we've covered in the past.
Correct.
And those are sort of him building the bridge to adulthood. adult movie stardom. And then this is the thing that I think finally codifies it.
I was checking what year used cars was just to double check. It's 1980. I just put used cars into Google. Guess what came up? A bunch of cars for sale.
Yeah. Yep.
Used cars.
Any good deals?
No, isn't it like a terrible time to buy a car right now?
it?
I think so. I think there's like a...
Yeah, because all the rental companies, when they couldn't rent out cars, sold a lot of the cars. But then now they've been buying up all the used cars.
I think there's a run on
there's
cars
demand now.
So you should just buy a new car now?
But I think those are hard to get because like you can't get a microchip because COVID or whatever. You know what I mean? Where like weird supply chain stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
That's
weird how the world's been thrown upside down.
Well,
anyway,
yes, I was just gonna say, Elvis was the first time it felt like that. Perhaps a director had really latched onto what Kurt Russell could do, right? Because even Used Cars is kind of casting him as a subversion of the Disney trope, right? It's
he's a manic, charmer, but who's a shyster and kind of a horn dog, and he's got a cute face for TV, but he's not to be trusted.
And Carpenter was sort of like, people don't realize how fucking good Kurt Russell is. Like, I worked with this guy. He did this major fucking very long TV miniseries movie playing a wildly iconic person, and he went so hard, did so much research, nailed it. He should really be taken seriously. But it's a TV movie, right? There still very much is a ghetto to those at the time. His first thought, as we said, is going to someone like Tommy Lee Jones, who's an obvious fit for this, or someone like Charles Bronson, who, had done too many movies like this already.
You saw the quote, right? Carpenter's like, I was afraid of working with him. He was a big star, and I was this little shit nobody.
Right.
Funny to think of Carpenter being like, I can't lick that guy's feet or whatever.
As absurd as that is, like post Halloween, for him to think.
Chuck Bronson was a big deal at this.
Yeah.
And as you said, it would have become a Charles Bronson.
Also,
movie,
like just
right?
a scary dude.
Scary.
Yeah.
The Simpsons joke, one of my favorites of all time.
Which is?
Where it's like where Charles Bronson is like a stand-in on like the Phil Silvers. Now I have to find it, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna look it up.
I feel like he was notoriously kind of nice, but he looks angry.
On the Andy Griffith Show, that's what it is.
Okay,
don't you remember? And they're like, "What happened to?" And he's like, "I shot him."
Yes.
And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "And now I'm going to go to like Eddie's Fix It to fix Eddie or whatever." Like,
oh
it's
my
so
God.
funny.
The joke is that he's Barney Fife's replacement.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, he was just a guy who looked so intimidating. And certainly, if you're John Carpenter and you're fairly young, and this guy's been a movie star for decades and has his own fucking thing figured out, I imagine it'd be a little bit of like what you hear with, later period Bruce Willis, where he's just like, I'm not going to listen to you. I know what I'm doing. I'm Bruce.
I'm Bruce Willis.
I'm Bruce.
Hey, what lens would you use for this? Huh? You don't understand movies. Okay.
You guys, do you know
We've talked about this on the podcast.
But Karen, do you know this?
No.
That's apparently the Bruce Willis thing that he like tests them on the first day about how well they know their lenses. And if they get it wrong, he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm never listening to you ever again.
Oh my God.
Right.
Legend.
Because people will be like, oh, I worked
both
with Bruce
love
Willis.
that and find that incredibly rude.
People will be like, oh, I worked with Bruce Willis. It's a fucking nightmare. And then someone like Wes Anderson will be like, I don't know, I found him a sweetheart.
Oh, man.
And it's just like Wes nailed the lens test. Right.
Yeah.
Same with Rian Johnson. Yeah. And Tommy Lee Jones.
Just Steven Soderbergh is like, oh, it's an iPhone.
Tommy Lee Jones. Too
got
short
three
a walk.
cameras. Yeah.
I think people
short a walk, sure.
were confused when he cast Russell in this.
Totally.
I think the industry was like, really? I know you liked the guy and you had a good time with him on the Elvis movie, but come on, this is like a whole different thing. And I even just imagine in terms of marketing for the movie, it must have been sort of like...
He's nowhere on the marketing for the movie.
Right.
The movie, I mean, obviously it's a very iconic poster, but it's all selling you on what if New York was a big prison.
Which is like an insane concept to open your movie with, where it's like, minute one, he's like, all of Manhattan is a prison island. And it's like, holy shit. Yeah.
It's the best.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
It is truly the best. Those graphics, like all of the graphics in this are so great.
You guys know the wireframe thing, right?
I certainly do. Maybe you guys
when you're
don't.
Getting like the computer view of the city as the plane is going. Because Ben and I went to go see this at a drive-in a couple months ago. We did a RoboCop Escape from New York double feature.
That's great.
Which was a real Ben and Griff night.
Yeah, it was real fun.
But and RoboCop does a very similar trick. But when they are flying the plane over the buildings, he could not afford the CGI
couldn't actually
for
do
that.
That would be way too
that's like
expensive
as
at the time.
advanced, as expensive as like. I mean, Star Trek has the one shot of a hand that costs like $1 million probably that they had to license from Ed Catmull. So it is just like a Godzilla-sized model of a city that was painted jet black, and then they put green reflective tape over it. And it's completely analog.
It looks so cool.
It looks so
like
fucking cool. RoboCop does the same thing when RoboCop has thermal vision. When the guy who lost the mayoral election is like holding everyone hostage, where they're wearing bodysuits that just have thermal imaging painted on them.
Now we should mention who was the photographer in charge of photography for the special effects and matte and stuff.
With Jimmy C.
Jimmy C.
Yeah, we'll
Our
talk
boy.
about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But here, wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
Right.
So what I think JJ pulled up in the original. I don't know if it was the original draft or the original conception of the movie. It was only supposed to be 6 years in the future.
It was.
Wow.
He wrote it in the mid 70s, and he set it in 82.
Right. This was in that batch we've talked about a couple times already, where post Dark Star, no one wants to hire him to direct. Let me write a bunch of scripts, try to get some stuff made. So it's this. It's what becomes Eyes of Laura Mars, that Western he was going to do with Elvis and John Wayne.
Diablo.
Amazing.
Which sounds so cool.
But this seemed to be the one that he always liked the most and was hoping he would get to do
He liked
himself.
this one the most. I got to say, the other one that sounds cool is the Prometheus Crisis.
Sounds fucking rad.
Which is a nuclear meltdown movie.
Yeah.
And whatever, he couldn't get it going. And
But it's
blah,
like
blah,
a
blah.
nuclear meltdown haunted house.
That's
Hell
how he
yeah.
described it. A haunted house movie set in a nuclear plant. Which
He
just
had a deal for this. This was going to be his thing after the fog, right? And then it got sort of caught up where he realized, like,
his salary got put in escrow, and he didn't believe that they were ever actually going to make it or whatever.
It sounded like you had some kind of less than honest upstart producers who bought the rights to this thing, but then were sort of just using it to be able to promote his name to get other projects off the ground, and then he couldn't make it because he could never get the rights back from them. Yeah.
But yes, he had this script, Escape from New York. I think it may have initially been called something else, or New York is, I can't remember. Nick Castle, who is the co-writer, and of course who plays Michael Myers,
The Shade,
and who eventually
directs Starfighter
movies and so on. Apparently kind of made it funnier.
Yeah.
Carpenter's quote is basically like, my movie was really grim, and he sort of gave it a sense of humor, which is pretty crucial.
Breakthrough for Carpenter, because I feel like after this point, Carpenter taps into his own sense of humor. I think he starts to realize the value of adding that layer to his
Whereas the
movies.
earlier movies, apart from Dark Star, are pretty they're not funny.
Right. Dark Star is funny, but then the fact that people didn't find it funny kind of terrified both of them. Yeah.
Escape from New York. So, and then obviously, I mean, the Halloween success, and the fog to a lesser extent, but, it just means he can do a movie now. I mean, this movie is made cheaply, but
I brought up the 6 years thing just because I find it interesting that it does not sound like his adjustment was, oh, I want to set it further in the future so that society has decayed even more. It's that his original script had this level of decay, and he was like, 6 might be a little quick.
He
like he just
calls it
adjusted
a subtle but significant change.
Right.
Because he was like, if I think about 17 years ago, that's more of a significant back in my mind. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, and, whatever. He was wrong. New York isn't a prison island
yet. It is funny that I feel like the last 6 months of like the fucking conservative think piece people being like, New York is dead. It's a husk of what it once was. They're all trying to make it sound like it's this now.
Yeah.
That post like COVID New York is Escape from New York.
But we're not wearing clothes.
Right.
We're all scantily clad.
Yes.
What a stupid article.
Truly.
Do you
so
know
dumb.
what's bad?
Huh?
You know what's bad?
What?
Everything. So,
okay.
Escape
Come
from
on
New York.
now. What about this podcast?
Well, this movie's good. The podcast is okay.
It's just so funny that he's like, New York's a prison island now, and also the president crashes in there. It's like
pretty quickly.
Everything at once.
Really
It's
quickly.
true.
Yeah.
And those poor fuckers on that plane, by the way. We cut to the plane.
Rip,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the president's like, so what are we going to do? And they're like, and he's like, put me in the pod then. And then that plane crashes. They're all dead. All the other ones.
I do find it funny that like he was just like, I don't know, just felt like a good part for Pleasance, right? Pleasance is his guy.
He's an English guy.
Right, he throws it to Pleasance. Pleasance is like,
yes,
also
I'm the
like
president.
arguably the least distinct president of all time. Like if he was
Yes.
the president and someone sent me in there and was like, you have to find the president, I'd be like, I can't do that.
Right.
Like I don't know what
He's
he
a
looks like.
dude.
Yeah, he's like a sort of a big bald dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's got kind of looks at you funny.
But I just find it funny. Like, apparently Pleasance got really in his head about, like, okay, so I need to do the character work to justify how a Brit could
Yes.
become president.
He
Came to him and
wrote-
was like, I figured it out. 16 pages. So Maggie Thatcher at this point
Oh my
in time
God.
Yeah,
does
he
this.
tried to explain why a British-sounding guy would be president.
Yeah.
Carpenter was like, okay, I don't
It's
care.
like, thank you very much. None
like
of this
Edward
is in
Norton
the
in
movie.
Alita Battle
Yeah.
It's
Angel.
just like I mean, I have no intellectual explanation for why I cast him.
Aw.
He
Just like
mentions
the guy.
his performance in Cul-de-Sac, where he played a victim out of place. But he also says he's one of my favorite actors of all time. So
Great.
it's just he
Yeah.
likes
Wonderful.
Donald Pleasance, likes Donnie.
I also think, like, his British accent more generally just kind of, like,
He just
reads
sort of
as, like,
sounds like this,
received
you know?
pronunciation,
Right.
transatlantic.
But it just like
Right.
I'm like, what fucking nation at war
yes.
is like this is the guy? You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Right.
strike me. Whatever. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
and
He's
that
the
sort of
president.
makes sense in that at the end they're like, yeah, we don't really need him. Like
Sure.
we just need this thing. It's
Yes.
like
Well, but isn't it kind of the thing that I think is another theme that really starts with this movie for Carpenter, where it's like anti-establishment, right? And I feel
sure,
like
yeah.
he is like an ineffective
yeah.
president,
He's
right?
a-
And he
he's
really
a dope.
embodies that part. Yeah.
And I mean, the payoff with him at the end is great. I love Donald Pleasance to death. He's the best.
He's wonderful. He's
rules.
beautiful. He's a beautiful little boy.
He's
so
a beautiful
dirty and they
shiny
clean him
boy.
up real quick.
They do clean him up. Well,
was
he's
so
easy to clean up
funny
because
when
he's
they
like
did
a
the
fucking
makeup on him.
cue
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah.
You just sort of like buff him out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's so
Get one of
round.
those bowling ball claws. Put his head in between
Yeah.
your knees. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
All right, so wait, I'm trying to go. You know, there's this right. They have this deal with Avco Embassy for the fog in another movie,
Right.
Okay.
and they had some other movie maybe they were going to do, and it wasn't happening. It
Am I
might have been the
misremembering that
Prometheus one.
he had sold it to them just as a script, and then the idea of
Correct.
him coming back and saying, "I want this to be my next directorial project,"
It was
a
some other thing
Right.
stalled out, and he was like,
Right.
"Why don't we just do Escape? Like,
Right.
why don't we just do
yeah,
that?
just let me do it. Right.
He had $7 million, which was his biggest budget ever, but it's still not obviously a big budget.
Sure.
And they shot it in St. Louis because they needed a city they could just treat like shit. Like,
Yeah.
where they're like, hey, you got like a few blocks we could just like light
Right.
on fire.
Right, and they were just like, "We're gonna tear all this down."
I mean, that's also kind of the fun thing where it's like, this is not distinguishable as New York, like at all. Like
really.
there's
No.
nothing in there.
I mean, especially not once they're on the bridge
No.
and you're like, what bridge is this?
Such a funny, like the poster. The poster is so heavy on like Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
It takes up more.
Which is a great image.
and does not
obviously.
occur in the
Right.
film.
Right,
Yeah.
but like not only that, you're getting like no New York landmarks, and the poster is like starring the Statue
Well,
of Liberty
'cause
and Kurt
Also, like
Russell.
when they're like, "Oh, this used to be the public library." And
Right.
It's like, no,
No, it
wh-
did.
Which
Well,
one?
but
No, it
yeah,
didn't.
that's what Forky kept. He's like, are they in Grand Central? And I'm like, yeah, I guess
Sure.
so. That could be what this is,
Yeah.
right? But wait,
weirdly works just because you're like, well, I don't know, everything's gone to shit.
Carpenter,
it's
St.
a real
Louis,
like okay, and then just coasting on.
Yes.
that.
St.
Yeah.
Louis looks a lot like destroyed New York.
Well,
This is Carpenter. In addition
rude.
to having the architecture of an eastern city, they let us shut down the streets, set them on fire, crash an airplane, do anything we wanted.
Okay,
I guess
sure.
they just, like you said, they just had these few blocks where it's like, well, look, these are going to be razed anyway. They're completely delinquent, or I don't know what was going on. And then they shot the whole damn thing at night.
Yeah, which I love. They weren't doing day for night. They had to develop, I believe, some new lenses to be able to shoot that much at night without having to blow the budget on
Cundy.
lights.
Oh.
Yes.
The greatest of all time. And he is the greatest of all time. And now we've talked about so many Dean Cundy movies.
Yeah.
Although we've never done Jurassic Park.
No.
But like that shot where I tweeted it, but like where Snake is in the glider,
Yeah.
and it's red behind him
Yeah,
and
that
shit,
shot fucking rules.
is the sexiest, and it's
Yeah.
like it's
Dean
nothing.
Cundy's cute.
And I'm
Oh,
completely.
Dean Cundy
we've
is
talked about it.
such
He
a
is
KB.
a patootie.
He's
Yeah.
a patootie. I mean, see, we find him cute in like an Ewok way.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think you find
It's a
him
very
cute in like a
appealing-
boyfriend way.
Well, Ewoks can be boyfriends.
Yeah, I mean, like, wouldn't you want to give him a hug after a hard day?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just a little cuddle.
Yeah, no question. He looks very.
He looks really nice.
talking-
I
talking-
would love a plush Dean Cundy. I'd love a tickle me Cundy.
That they indeed had a Panavision 1.59 t-stop lens, which could shoot low light and large.
Right. They had to sort of figure out how to expand the stops on. Yeah.
Ernie Borgnine, there's some quote in here where he's
so
like,
great.
"Boy, I'm not used to rolling in at 6 a.m. and still being sober." Every Ernie Borgnine quote,
Yes.
just what a delight. Ernie Borgnine.
Yeah.
David, I don't know
true.
if you know this. I'm gonna lean in and just whisper
Please,
this into your ear as quietly as I can.
So the mics don't pick it up.
Yeah, I'm cupping my hands around my
Okay,
mouth.
so the mics don't
as
pick
I
it up.
say, no one's gonna hear this. Okay, David, I don't know if you know this, but
He liked to masturbate a lot.
He's in one of the What's Up With That's, right?
yes,
He's so.
Oh.
I remember him being so funny in that.
Yes.
Like even though he
Wait,
has
really?
like one line.
yes,
obviously.
it was
Oh my
because
God.
Red was coming out. The movie Red was coming out, and I think it's him and Morgan Freeman, or him and another guy
Wait,
from Red.
that's
It
incredible.
was just yes, it's Morgan
Oh my
Freeman.
God.
Right. It was like they clearly were doing some Red
Oh
press
my
junket and they wrote
God.
both of them in. He's adorable. I mean, Ernest Borgnine has one of the cutest smiles of all
He
Yeah.
time.
does, but the reason I think
the,
it's so
really
good.
round
It's the
cheeks and eyes.
Yeah.
I like What's Up With That always, but it's the
Yeah.
one where he really seems delighted to be part of the
That's what's
fictional
funny
show
about
What's
it.
Up With That.
And he's like loving all the
He's having a
dancers.
good
Every
time.
time they introduce a new character, he's just like his eyes are
I'm
filled
literally
with
I'm just
wonderment.
watching it right now, and he starts off at 10.
Yeah, he's great.
He's already laughing, and it's only the title screen.
Like Morgan Freeman has more of a vibe of like, what is this thing that I'm doing?
Yeah.
I
Right?
don't like being here. And there's Borgnine's like, this is great. I'm gonna jerk off about this later. I just think
What a
I'm
little
sorry.
gremlin.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, we all know that if you don't Google Ernest Borgnine talking about his masturbation habits on what was it, the Today Show or something like
That's
like that.
insane.
Fox
That's
and Friends.
insane.
Am I wrong about that? He was on one. He was on a morning show, and they go like, "Ernie, you're 93. Look great. What's your secret?"
Oh my
and he
God.
leans in, covers his mouth, and then very loudly says, "I like to masturbate a lot."
It
Oh
is.
my
It is
God.
indeed Fox and Friends.
Yep.
Oh no.
It's
Oh,
incredible. It is one of the greatest things that has ever happened on television.
That's incredible. How old was he when he did this?
It was like 2 years.
Oh my God.
No, it wasn't. It
No,
wasn't.
it was his early 90s, right?
It was in 2008, so I guess he was probably like in his. No, he was 91.
Thank you. Thank you. This is what I'm saying. He was absurdly old.
He was absurdly old.
And he just
Oh,
threw
boy.
it out. He was married to Ethel Merman, right?
Yes, he was.
Like maybe
for
the
42 days.
weirdest Hollywood marriage of all time.
Their time together was mostly spent hurling profane insults at each other, and both later admitted that the marriage was a colossal mistake.
God, like that's the Malcolm and Marie I want to see. You know?
Oh, yeah, where it's like fun.
Right.
I mean, just imagine how much fun it was
Yeah.
to take this picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the pure privilege of just taking this picture.
David, describe the photo.
Ernie Borgnine, in a picture taken in 2004, so he's in his late 80s, is doffing a naval cap. I believe he served in the Navy.
But he's sort of giving it a milady tip.
Yeah.
Right? It's a
Yeah,
tip
yeah, yeah.
off. You know what I mean? It's sort of half off his head at an angle with just a big old Ernie Borgnine smile. I mean, how else can you describe
Unreal.
about him. There is no old man who has ever
It's one of
looked
those
Oh, it's
things-
on his Wikipedia.
He's so old that he served in the Navy before World War II, and then when World War II happened, he like came back.
was
He was
back.
like, "Oh, sure, you need me. I'll rejoin."
Ernie. Get the masturbation
Oh my
hammock
God.
ready for Ernie.
Oh my God.
I just think there's no old man who looks more like a kindergartner than Ernest Borgnine. Like
That's
that
a good
photo
call.
you just showed, that looks like a fucking school picture day,
There
right?
are no
know,
pictures
but
of him
it
not
also looks like
smiling.
he's about to, set up Elsa and Kristoff in Frozen or whatever. He looks like a little troll. Like,
He looks like a little rock troll.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's true. Or
Elsa and Kristoff. I can't. Anna and Kristoff. Whoever
Yes,
the
Anna
couple
and
is in
Kristoff.
that movie.
Elsa is loves.
he's just a
God,
delight. Look at him.
he's on
Look
a
at that little
construction
man.
site.
He's got a hat for
Yeah.
safety, Karen.
No, I like it.
I
That's
know
why I'm
you
pointing
do.
it out.
I mean, it's
Oh my God.
talk about an important decision that
I've also
Carpenter
now found
makes.
I believe, magazine cover, which is "Don't Miss Ernest Borgnine on the Bus," which appears to be about a reality
What?
show where he goes around on a giant bus.
What?
Like
I mean,
a
that
tour bus.
sounds good.
Sounds
Is he
very-
driving the
Pictures
bus?
are extremely
Or is he just
good.
like, you get on the bus, someone's driving, and he's going around and be like, "Hi, I'm Ernie. This is my bus."
He's
We'll be
riding.
going to Fresno today.
He's
Unclear, but I
riding the
will look
top
it
of the
up.
bus, Teen Wolf style.
Yeah,
like he's
right.
like hanging 10 on the bus.
He's like Morpheus in the Matrix Reloaded. He's
okay.
he's
According
hanging
to a description, it
by
says
his toe.
he went around to greet his fans on this bus. And I have found it seems like he is driving it. He's driving it.
I don't know, Ernie. You're getting old. I don't know if I want you driving a
when
bus.
was
No,
this?
he
Do you
still
have a
seems
Class B
pretty
license?
hardy.
When was this?
This was in 1997.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And he did it in 1996.
He was grandpa age.
Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
spry 76.
Right.
Yeah, the pictures are really, really good. I highly recommend you just Google Ernest Borgnine on the bus.
I can't believe that show existed. God, he died longer ago than I remembered.
Well, he was old.
Yeah,
I know he was old, but I feel his passing feels like it was just yesterday
It
when
does.
it was in fact about 9
it's
years.
because he's
ago.
got such
It was a long
spirit.
time ago.
He's got
Yeah.
such spirit. He stays with us. He lives in our hearts
That's
forever.
true, yes.
He also worked right up until the very
He did.
end.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on Fox and Friends.
Right, where you just took it for granted, where you're
Incredible.
like, this guy's never gonna die, right?
Well, he dies in Escape from New York.
He
That was
Spoiler
sad.
alert. It is sad.
I was going to
Doesn't
say
make it.
an incredible decision on Carpenter's
Yeah.
part is to make him a cabbie,
Yep.
name him Cabbie,
They moved
Yep.
Cabby.
give him a little cabbie cap.
Yeah, yeah.
And a little cab that's just a little yellow square, really. It's a real
little box.
stout little car.
Yeah.
It's a real hat trick of good decisions for Carpenter.
Well, it's the same, I feel like, reasoning behind New York's a prison island and the president crashes on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the same logical stream.
yes, absolutely.
Escape from New York made, I feel like, in a similar way to his other movies where he's doing the score. Obviously, he's
Yes.
collaborating
Score
this
absolutely
time.
rips.
Incredible score.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Collaborating this time with Alan Howarth. Is that how you say his name?
But big difference
Howarth.
here is he was saying that like up until this point he did what was sort of the standard for the time, where it's like, a director tells the composer, I have this type of scene, I need 80 seconds of music, and you compose something and you time it with a stopwatch and you hand it to him, right? This was a movie where he was using videotapes of cuts,
He was scoring to the film,
which was
for the first
not
time. Right.
often done at that point in time.
I think he
Certainly-
used to just noodle around.
Well, yeah, he had not done it before. Right, he'd
Right.
just go like, "Here's my theme, and I'll repeat it," which is why so many of his movies have these like very potent earworm. Like, I came up with one ringtone which I can reuse 18 times over the course of the movie.
The line that I like that JJ found is Howarth being like, "Hey, we should like press an LP of your score," and Carpenter's like, "What?
Right.
Who's gonna want to listen to that?" Like, he's like, "It's a cool score, man."
It's
Like,
the first
I
time
think
he's scoring a
Carpenter just
picture.
Didn't get that.
He
Right.
said he still does most of his musical compositions improvisationally, but his process was starting to maybe formalize a little bit at this point, as he was sort of accepting like, oh, maybe I'm really gonna be the composer of these movies going forward, and not just in order to save a little money in the budget.
But he's still the self-deprecating. He's like, I'm cheap. What can I
Yeah.
tell you? You
Yeah.
know, he right. But yeah,
I mean,
but yes.
it is really impressive.
It's
I've
such a
had
cool score.
this theme stuck in my head for 4 months since we went to the drive-in.
Can
It's
you
like,
can you give us a little piece?
dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun, 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 dun.
Okay, we're back from an ad.
Sorry, that's where the ad went.
as Ben mentioned, James Cameron worked on this movie. Young
Yeah.
James Cameron.
Oh.
Carpenter called him the resident genius.
Right. Everyone was kind of losing their mind over this guy saying he was the future.
Worked on
Wow.
like the matte paintings and the miniatures and stuff. J.J. Abrams, at a test screening of this film as a teenager,
Yes.
asked if Adrienne Barbeau's character had died or not, because they did
Aw.
not have the scene, the shot of her lying in
Yeah.
blood. And Carpenter's like, I guess they didn't get that. Get Adrienne on the floor. We'll cover her in blood. We'll fucking.
They did it in their garage.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a
we'll add
one-shot reshoot done in their garage. Isn't it funny that J.J. Abrams is kind of like this Forrest Gump figure?
Well, that's why when people are like, why are his movies so derivative? I'm like, read about his life as a
Yeah.
young boy. like, there's a reason.
Right. He enacted a change in Escape from New York. He forced them to do reshoots. And then it's like Spielberg personally hired him and Matt Reeves to restore his like 8mm short films when he was a teenager, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was like the resident 8mm kid. Yeah.
I'm the 8mm kid. That's what he would say.
This just reminds me, there's that thing going around on Twitter today where it's like, this 16-year-old's interested in cryptocurrency, and it's this very, very young looking boy in like a very blue suit, and it's like, oh, he's not gonna, when he grows up, it's not gonna be good.
It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good.
You don't want to be in a little suit when you're that
No.
age.
You don't want to be a crypto kid in a little suit.
Boss baby.
Just a lot of
Please,
royalty.
don't speak that way about David Stone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, like brushing up against this movie, a lot of future Hollywood royalty.
Yeah.
And then, he
Wild.
just assembles this crew of God character actors.
Right.
I mean, we talked about Russell Lee Van Cleef,
Yeah.
Donnie Plez, Ernie Borg,
Ernie
Ernie
Borg.
Borg.
Isaac
the Borg.
Hayes is in
Yes.
there.
Harry Dean
Dean
Stanton.
Stanton.
Fucking Hayes. Rules.
He's
in
the
this.
Duke.
He is so fucking good in this, man.
Yeah.
The opening credits of this movie are just insane, as like, especially set to the score, as it's building, and you're just like, him too? He's also in this?
It is hit after hit.
Right, and then it takes
All killers, no fillers.
it takes so long for most of the characters to get introduced,
Yeah,
but by the time
yeah.
like Isaac Hayes comes in, you're surprised again.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen this movie multiple times. When I see his name in the credits, I'm like, oh, right. And then when he shows up on screen, I'm like, oh, right. Because you just kind of can't keep track of everyone.
Do you like his car in this movie, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you like what he's done with it?
I think he's really taken like cars to the next level in that he has a fucking chandelier on.
The
it.
chandeliers
Does have
are
a
an
chandelier on it.
incredible
I didn't
touch.
notice that, actually. I wasn't
so.
even thinking about that. I'm joking.
Also, it's so funny at the end where you see someone like in the driver's POV and you see how much real estate the chandeliers take up, like in your vision. And it's like,
terrible for
Yeah.
practical. It's
Awful
true.
idea.
I know there's not a lot of traffic on the road in prison Manhattan. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no. There's
we're-
not a lot.
yeah.
Isaac Hayes, I really love. I love Tom Atkins. We talked about him before.
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love
The most rectangular man.
very,
It's wonderful.
he's a blocky man.
Yeah.
I love Frank Doubleday, who is the guy who shot the kid in Assault on Precinct 13, and this is like White Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever.
Oh my god.
He's so good. What's the character's name? Romero. Because there's also a Cronenberg.
Sonic
They're all
the
named
Hedgehog.
after like his horror
Yeah.
buddies, but he's
Right.
Romero. He looks
Right.
like
But
a little
his
zombie.
character really like is the first like one where he just looks like abnormal and you're
Yeah.
like, this is a weird fucked up future.
It's funny because no one else really comes up to that level.
No, he's definitely punching at a a higher weirdo rate. Most people are just kind of like,
Dirty.
Yeah.
dirty crime people with
Yeah.
like a crossbow
Yeah.
Right.
or some
Just got like
rocks.
one weird article of clothing that presumably they stole or something.
Someone's at the door.
Someone's at the door.
All right.
This is not an ad break.
I don't know, but maybe it is. David, we don't know. David, we don't know. It very well might be. David,
Yeah.
this is I'm calling out several very specific groups of listeners of this show.
Hit him.
Small business owners,
Sure, that's me.
startups,
Startups, okay.
freelancers,
Freelancers, a lot of those out there.
entrepreneurs.
All right. What are you saying to these guys?
I'm calling you out and I'm asking, do you know the number one way to avoid unfair bank fees?
I do, and I can tell you right now, Griffin, it's a 2-step process. Step 1, close your account. Step 2, open a new Novo free business banking account. Okay?
Well, that's because Novo is the number one business banking app because it's built from the ground up to be powerfully simple and free business banking that Money Magazine called the best business checking account of 2021.
And that's the magazine that's about money. So
Yes,
with Novo,
absolutely.
there are no minimum balances, no transaction limits, there's no hidden fees, and you can sign up for free in under 10 minutes at banknova.com/check.
You should be the film critic for Money Magazine.
You know, my dad actually worked at Money Magazine for like a year once. Like, it was like a weird job he had in between jobs. Anyway.
My great uncle did a column where he advised people against ever giving their children money. Anyway, they'll mail you a Novo debit card and you get free ATM use because Novo makes banking easy and secure. You can manage your account in Novo's customizable web, Android, and iOS apps with built-in profit-first accounting and invoicing. Plus, you could tag each transaction and upload receipts.
It's very, look, you can use the app no offense to some of these other money apps, but like Novo is just sort of designed to seamlessly integrate with leading business tools, services like Stripe and Shopify and QuickBooks. It does this for free. And plus, it offers over $5,000 in person discounts just for signing up. Okay? So you can get your free business banking account in just 10 minutes at banknovo.com/check. Go to banknovo.com/check to sign up for free right now and get a free copy of Novo's Small Business Starter Guide. Banknovo.com/check. Who was it, Ben?
What'd you get?
It was.
Let me guess.
She put it in the mail slot, so I'll get it later.
It was the wet Ransford?
One of your worst characters.
I don't know what you're saying character. It was someone who just showed up when we were recording.
Escape from New York. It's set in well, here it says it's set in 1997.
Yes.
Oh, right. It's saying that, I'm sorry. It's saying Manhattan was turned into a prison island in 1988.
That's
okay.
correct.
Who knew?
Does Escape from LA come out in 97?
96,
from
I
is-
believe.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer you missed it by a year.
Yeah.
And something we should mention too is
it's
New
good
York.
though, because then it's like, hey, who knows? Maybe by 97, everything's fucking, you don't know.
But I was going to say, New York is like a shithole, though.
It's not in great shape.
It's
you're
really,
saying in 1981.
well, like
real New York.
70s, yeah,
Sure,
80s.
sure.
This is a bad time.
Oh, you're saying in the real world,
Yeah,
this is a
yeah,
rough period. Yes.
yeah,
But
yeah.
still,
yes,
Carpenter is still in good enough shape that Carpenter knows New
Can't
York
actually
will not
funk it,
actually
right.
be
A prison
We can't
island.
sell New York as bad New York right now.
Well, I think
You know
it's
what I
the
mean?
bigger problem is just like people control.
Well,
right?
that's true too.
You're not going to get free reign to lock down this many blocks to limit the amount of people going through. I mean, there's something about how desolate New York is in this that makes it really
Brings up a
eerie.
lot of questions of how many prisoners do they send in
True.
at all.
Do you go in there for everything? Like, is it?
What did
is
the
it a
cabbie do?
catch-all?
He seems nice.
Too cute.
Yeah.
I just want to also point
He broke
out
too many hearts.
Oh.
Australia was a prison island. So
That is
this
true.
isn't a completely preposterous idea.
Well,
Yeah.
but the thing about the Australian prison colonies, which were, on reflection, a little problematic.
Little. They would send kids for stealing bread. They just send them to
maybe they shouldn't
Australia.
have stolen that bread.
Well, okay.
Even if they only stole bread because some other kid was like, "You've got to pick a pocket or two," or whatever, right? You know, at the end of Oliver Twist, the Artful Dodger is deported to Australia.
I'm sorry. Who?
Is
Oliver.
this true? Or I can't track this anymore. Is that
That is true. I mean, yes,
That's
at the
the-
end of
that-
Oliver Twist,
really?
the Artful Dodger.
That's
is
the
deported.
twist?
That is- Everyone's like, "I love this Oliver guy," but Charlie, what's the twist? He's like, "The twist is crime pays all the fucking way to Australia, my friend."
booked yourself a one-way ticket?
Oh my
Australia
God.
is much bigger than Manhattan. You
Yes.
know, if you're going to keep it, Manhattan will eventually fill up. Australia, very large.
Problematic for a different reason than converting a current city.
Not your
into-
place,
Yeah.
right? You can't
I
just be
will
like, you know
say
what, that place over there.
I will say I
They're
always
gonna love that when we send all of our prisoners over there.
I
Gonna
always
be super chill.
sorry.
Go
Not gonna
ahead.
be any problems at all.
I'm always a fan of this as like a dystopian storytelling trope where we're like, oh, we just gave up on this place. We're just
Army of the
it's
Dead style.
done. Yeah, I like that Army of the Dead. I like anything where it's like Earth. No one lives on Earth anymore.
Right.
You know, like
Like, oh, we fucked it up beyond repair. So
we fucked up beyond repair, and that's just a write off now. It's
Yeah.
just lawless.
Yeah, right. But yes, I do wonder. It's like, right, if I commit like tax fraud, am I kicked there, or is there like maybe a
is there
I
a
don't
limit?
know.
Do
Is
other
like
prisons
Staten
still
Island
exist?
like sort of like maybe a slightly chiller prison island? Or what? I don't know. How does
Did
it
you
work?
ever read? I want to say it was Grant Morrison. Maybe I'm misremembering, but it was an Arkham Asylum miniseries.
It's Grant Morrison. I mean, Grant Morrison did the Arkham.
I know he
Asylum
did one, but I'm
book.
trying to remember if this is the same one. But it was about like a white collar criminal.
That's not Grant
Okay,
Morrison. I don't think.
he was a white collar criminal who did some shitty financial crime, right? And then he pleads insanity
Oh,
so that he can receive a lighter sentence. And the irony is they send him to Arkham Asylum. And it's such a fucking good premise where it's like this douchebag who like fucking, managed a hedge fund and like rip people off is like, great, I'm just going to spend 3 weeks in insane asylum. I'll be fine. And then he's in there with like
yeah.
deranged Batman supervillains.
That is a great idea. The Grant Morrison one is the Dave McKean drawn one where
Right.
it's like super, super impressionistic.
Right. I'm forgetting who wrote
yeah.
this one, but
Anyway.
I always feel like with
Mysterious House and Serious Affairs. Yeah,
Which is
amazing.
good.
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
Rules, yeah.
with premises like this, the Escape from New York thing, I always wish they put that kind of thing in there where it's like, and here's the white collar guy who's way in over his
But
head.
Yeah.
there is, as Karen was saying, there's nothing like the simplicity of just like map of Manhattan. I'm like, I know what that is. And they're like, all right, doot, 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 doot. All right, that's where the prison is. Like, just draw a line.
Well, this movie is so good at setting up its like objectives, its stakes, its risks.
Every dystopia after it is indebted to its
Yeah.
simplicity.
and just
basically.
just how quickly they set everything up.
Things like that throwaway line where it's like he got a Purple Heart in Leningrad, and you're like, what happened in Leningrad? Siberia? Like what, you know, where it's just we don't need to say anything else. We know we're at war with Russia or whatever.
Right.
Stuff like that. Total throwaway stuff that
The
gets it
shot
all
in the
across.
neck obviously is just like such a genius move.
Oh yeah, well Slipknot improved it. But yeah. I mean, they perfected that with Slipknot.
Slipknot improved getting killed. Slipknot improved dying immediately. Yeah, in that sense, he improved fucking up.
Oh,
But I just remember you
rip in
saying that,
peace.
Ben, where it's
Rip-
like,
rip-
right, that's
rip
how you
slip.
solve why this guy does the
Sad.
thing
Right. Yeah. Because like you're
while
like, why
retaining
would
his outsider status.
Why would he give a shit? He should just escape.
Right, there's
Once
no
he's,
part
like,
of him
out
that
of
wants
jail.
to do
Right,
this.
no, but you have to. Right,
But
you got
yeah,
it.
it is.
Yeah.
It really just it's
Right.
forcing him, and it's setting a time.
Right, the
Yeah.
watch
Right.
is great.
It's just giving rules to this kind of like unruly place.
Yeah, I love the time thing, but it also is so funny that he falls asleep for a little more than half of it.
he just
Yes.
he just takes a little nappy nap.
A big nappy nap.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
tie boy.
That's like a real exhaustion nap.
He's sleepy.
Yeah.
He's a little tie-tie.
Yeah, he's tie boy. But I mean,
We did our Riddick commentaries.
we did. That's
And in both the third Riddick and in Pitch Black, you kept on sort of saying, like, why can't people just fucking make this? Like, especially Pitch Black, where you're just like, it's so simple. It's so straightforward. It's not overcomplicating itself. It's within its means, all this. Like, this movie is so economic, you know, in
Yeah,
every sense, and just sort of just like blunt, like, here's the fucking setup, here's the layout, here's the deal, and we're off.
But it's also and yes, the first 20 minutes and Lee Van Cleef is crucial to all that.
Yeah.
You're selling
to
these
everything,
lines,
arguably.
you know, this all this
My
silliness.
father, Lee
just-
Van Cleef.
Yeah.
Dude,
Not-
Snake is such a fucking badass.
He's
Yeah.
like sitting at that goddamn desk and he's just like president of what? I'm like, fuck, yeah.
Okay, but also
yes.
when Lee Van Cleef is like, "I'm gonna kick your ass out of the world," and it's like, what kind of threat is this?
It's
best.
the best
The
threat
best.
I've ever heard.
It's incredible. It's
Kick your
the two
ass
meanest
out of the
motherfuckers.
world.
They
the
do.
fact that has not entered the lexicon as like a popular
It
thing
should.
to say.
It should.
Yeah.
We should start saying it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick your ass out of the world.
They do kind of belong together.
Yes.
And they don't really. I mean, Lee Van Cleef will admit it, and Snake
Yeah.
can't admit. Hawk is Lee Van Cleef's character.
It's just Lee Van Cleef.
But like they are, right, they actually do seem like they'd probably get. They have
Yeah.
similar worldviews, even though Hawk is the man.
Yeah.
I also there's a fascinating thing to me with like I feel like by the 90s things sort of normalize a little more again, but like there was such a radical sea change in American cinema, at least in the 70s, right? Like New Hollywood and sort of the post-Brando generation of the method actors, naturalism taking over and movies getting messier and all this sort of shit. That like a lot of these guys like Lee Van Cleef and Ernest Borgnine who had like a very specific vibe they did that fit into an older studio system or a specific genre that like doesn't really exist anymore. In the 80s, they're in the zone where it's like, what does this guy do now? You know? And like you saying, Karen, the thing about Lee Van Cleef, like feeling like an anime character in this, it does feel like that thing where like an anime series takes elements of Western culture and then puts it into its own weird, like Eastern sci-fi sort of milieu, where it's just like, it feels fundamentally so right and so wrong that this old cowboy is sitting at like a fucking tech console telling a guy he's gonna kick him out of the planet. You know?
Yes.
And like same thing with Borgnine, where it's like this movie gets so much juice, I feel like, of putting people in like slightly odd, ill-fitting positions.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like from the moment that the cabbie character is introduced, you're like, what is going on here? Because he's like
Right.
sitting at the theater, like
He's
so happy.
right.
And then he's like, you're Snake Plissken. And
He
it's like,
is. very chipper considering he lives in objectively a not fun place.
But this is kind of a movie where every single performer has a different energy.
Yes.
Isaac Hayes in this movie is very much of this moment, but you're like, but he shouldn't be in a movie, right? He shouldn't be playing a part like this. Like, everyone just feels like they're sort of plucked out of somewhere else, including Kurt Russell.
And yes, absolutely, including Kurt Russell. Yes, and Adrian Barbeau.
It made me think of Mad Max 3. What's the musician?
Thunderdome. Oh, Tina Turner.
Tina Turner,
Yes.
you
She's
know?
so fucking cool.
And she's so great in that too. Like, there's something about, like, Isaac Hayes, we've never seen him in this context, and then he's just like super fucking cool already as a person, but he's so cool in this fucking movie, and he's just a fucking badass. I believe that people would follow him.
That's true. He's charismatic.
Yeah.
He's got a good hat.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Sort of the John Wick method of casting, right?
Absolutely.
Where it's like, oh, we'll just put Lawrence Fishburne in there.
John
it's
Wick,
like,
deeply indebted to this.
Oh, yeah,
and
big
I'm
time.
sure they would admit it. And you're right, where it's like, you know what? Rather than have 5 minutes of talk about who this person is, why don't we just cast X and everyone will get it pretty much right away. Right.
But I also think John Wick, the first one, I mean, you and I were talking about this the other day, David, but like the way now everyone is ripping off John Wick, right? Like John Wick has become one of
Everyone's
three
like,
movies that everyone's trying to riff
world
on.
building. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's something very, very precise about the way they do world building in that movie, and the surprise of that film having world building when it doesn't feel like the kind of premise that would support it, that now doesn't work when you're sort of replicating it.
Yeah.
But there's also just something about how much like this movie, the setup is so primal. And as you said, it's sort of like every character is like a primary color. It's an immediate match of energy and actor persona.
But also, we don't need to know much.
Right,
It's
exactly.
a prison island. The Duke's in charge.
Right.
It's not like the Warriors where there's like tons and tons of factions that he navigates.
Yes.
Like now, if you would remake this movie, it would be longer.
Right.
And he would go from X place in the prison to the, he would bounce to all these locations where it would be really distinct factions.
Yes.
Instead, it's like he meets Ernie Borgnine.
Right.
Then he goes and meets Harry
He's
Dean
a cabbie.
Stanton.
His name is Cabby. He drives a cab.
Right. Harry Stanton. He's a brain. He's a big nerd guy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's great.
It's also as you pointed out, sort of pointed out in terms of like this would be longer if it was a movie today. It's only an hour and like 40 minutes. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice short movie.
Yeah.
It also ends. I mean, we'll talk about it. Perfect ending where it's just like, okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Cut to black.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, people try to replicate this so much, they don't understand what a key element of this film is, weirdly, restraint. You know, and some of it I'm sure is limitations of budget and schedule, production, all of this.
That's the Carpenter
but even
thing.
just in the basic construction of the story, you know, it's not overloaded with too many set pieces, too many action sequences. You know, it is fascinating where you're like, this is thought of as an action.
It's pretty simple. It's just like
classic.
this is what's cool,
Right?
And that's
like
it.
One big like fucking fight in a boxing ring.
Yeah,
But it's fair to say, and I remember listening to the Rewatchables about this podcast, and Bill Simmons,
About this movie,
who I sort of appreciate as, and this may be a hot take, like that's like a cable viewing dad take on things that that is not attached to film Twitter and is not attached to, like, where I'm like, I am sort of interested to hear the perspective.
I think that's his exact value.
But where he's sort of like, I really love Escape from New York, blah, 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 but like, it's not quite like the real action movie juice comes a couple years later, I guess, with like the Rambo sequels and stuff, where action movies start to get super kinetic and super kind of just like exciting.
But even like They Live has so much more action than this does.
Yeah. And he's not even I guess it's like a mild critique from him, but it's just true. Like Escape from New York is quiet and it's sort of a little more slowly paced, and it's a lot of kind of shuffling around and sneaking, and like often it's just sort of like a punch and then like, but that's great. It's like rules.
It's not like
he barely uses his gun.
Right.
He has like 2 scenes where he uses it, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like full action movies don't exist at this point, right? Like Bruce Lee's entire career has happened, but I do think there is a purity to franchises where like. We've talked about this as well, but like it's interesting when you watch like old horror movies, right?
Like 50s horror movies,
like Universal, even older, right? Val
sure.
Lewton movies, German Expressionists, anything sort of before maybe the 70s, you know. And maybe 1,000 people are going to come and correct me here. There are obviously outliers, but like a lot of them, the horror is the premise.
Hell yeah. I mean, like
rather
haunting,
than its visceral scare.
The haunting is so scary, but like there's not a lot of scares
Right.
in it or whatever. You know, it's all tension and atmosphere.
In the same way that, like,
and,
this can be an
location.
action movie, but it's all about the tension, the premise, the setup, rather than it is about, like, stunt work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty well exemplified. There's that scene where they're driving the car that they stole, like, through a crowd of people, and it's not like they're driving through them rapidly or even ramming
they're
that big
driving, like,
barricade.
10 miles
It's
an
very
hour.
slowly, and everyone's just wailing on the car as they go.
Just throwing some shit at them.
Yeah.
Like, what little action exists in this movie is not visceral. It's narrative.
I feel like
You know?
those guys are like, we live on Broadway, because I believe they're on Broadway when this. It's like, well, what do we do on Broadway? If any fucker drives his car down here, we throw rocks at it. What else
That's
do
the
we
only
do?
hint you get of
That's
like
kinda all
another
we do.
faction.
Well, they're
Right.
vultures.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to get anything they can get their hands on.
Well, also, not to mention, no one's coming to see their shows anymore. I mean, they're throwing rocks because they want people to pull into the Winter Garden.
Yeah, they got it. Come on. No one mourns the wicked.
What are they
Come on.
performing at that show?
I don't know.
Good
It's something
cue.
really weird.
Well, I mean, like, if you go
Seems
to
like a review
if
of
you go
some
to the
sort.
train station, you'll see Zangief essentially fight whoever's around, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what's going on at the wrestling ring.
Right.
And they're like, it's a classic 2-round fight. Round 1, bats. Round 2,
Yeah.
bats with spikes and a trash can shield. Right? we all know the classic progression of
It's also
fighting.
so
well, that's
good
like
'cause, like-
gladiator shit, though,
Yeah.
right? They would do that. Change
Yeah. Of
course they
weapons
would.
out. Yeah.
Like that guy's only strength is that he's really big. And,
He's
like,
quite large.
and he only has one move, like in his move set. It's only this.
And it's slow. You're thinking
Yeah.
of it in a video game way, but you're right. Because he tosses his shield because
Yep.
he has to do the 2-hand, but he's real slow.
yeah.
This, of course, is Ox Baker playing the role of Slag.
name.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, Slag is his name.
You didn't know that?
Fuck, I did not know. That's
I
so
believe
good.
he was a
This
he
has
was a
changed the
professional
game.
wrestler.
Yeah, for real. Slag.
Slag.
Damn.
He's one of those guys who
Name
looks
my
like
son Slag.
he looks like he looks in this movie.
That's
Where you're
amazing.
like, oh, let me see like a picture of that guy casual, and you're like, yeah, basically, he just sort of
Oh,
looks like
God.
Slag.
It's like how,
beard.
you know, like the Santa Claus in the second season of I Think You Should Leave, where the actor's name is just Biff Whiff.
Yes, I love
It's
that
like
guy.
Jesus.
How?
I love
How?
that guy. That guy's great.
Oh, he's wonderful. It's just that his real name is Biff Whiff.
I understand these words mean different things in the world of wrestling, right?
Uh-huh.
But it is just still jarring to look at Ox Baker's IMDb biography and have it open with Douglas Baker, better known by his moniker Ox, was one of the meanest, most vicious, hated, and
Oh.
ugliest wrestlers ever.
Wow.
Where you're like, well, when you speak of a wrestler that way, you understand that's part of the appeal. But when it's
Right.
on IMDb and like next to bios, like Jeffrey Wright is one of the most undersung actors of his generation.
Yeah. Wait.
Ox Baker is so fucking ugly and mean.
Oh.
Everyone hates him.
Ox Baker was famous for his Machiavellian eyebrows and his finishing move, the Heart Punch, sometimes called the Hurt Punch, after
Yes.
his famous catchphrash, "I love to hurt people."
I was going to bring up his famous
It's
catchphrase.
a
Of course.
Incredible.
I wonder how long he worked on that. What should my catchphrase be? Yeah, so he's Slag.
Slag.
Yeah, I mean, the plot of Escape from New York. It's because it's like 5 locations, right?
It's
very
a point
simple.
A to point B movie.
Yeah.
Well,
like
I
he
guess-
lands.
We should say like the when he first the first building, right? Because he crashes the plane,
Right.
On the Twin
goes
Towers.
down. He goes to where he meets the cabbie.
Yep.
He goes then upstairs,
Finds the crazy guy.
finds
Who's
the crazy
the
guy,
president or whatever.
right?
Yeah.
Who has the
has the tracker.
exactly
Yeah.
and the briefcase or
I
No,
think,
the
he just has
briefcase
the
is
tracking
later.
device.
Okay,
Because
right.
they shoot him to get the briefcase.
right.
Yeah.
And then that's the first time we actually just see some really scary. It's like sexual assault, like really scary and fucked up.
But the whole thing that's magic about Snake, it's not that he doesn't care, but he definitely is just kind of like, all right, like, and he just sort of like moving along, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he never seems that perturbed. But he doesn't seem like he's into it either. He's just like, here I am at work.
And he's not in
Like-
a rush though either.
He's
though.
not in a
Even
rush,
though
kinda
he's like his
walking
neck is
around.
gonna
Yeah.
explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, and I feel like if I was like, come on, Snake, he'd be like, don't rush me. Sorry, Snake.
There's something about the fact that Snake and by extension Russell seems so unconcerned with trying to impress anybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's because he's Snake fucking Plissken.
he is Snake fucking Plissken.
And so I guess then, right, yeah, Cabby he goes to see the brain. Goes to see brain.
Goes to see
Yeah.
Brain, and then I guess the only other little thing is there's the underground people
Yeah.
who come out
I
of the
thought
sewers.
they might have come back later.
I
but
think they
no.
do, but that's
who
where
were,
we
like,
meet
pulling
them.
Right, yeah.
And he runs away. And
Brain. I love Brain. So Brain is the Griffin Newman role here.
Well, yeah, it's what I want to age into 50 years
right.
from now. Right, yes.
But I just love
It'll
how
take me
Like, are you,
50 years to hit Harry Dean Stanton at 45.
how immediately he cops. Yeah, I'm full of shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
My
I
lair.
suck.
It's also nice that like
Maps.
he-
Leave me
Fucking
alone. Don't call me
suck.
Harold, please.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Snake,
Yeah.
which I
Right.
love.
which is wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
and also him and Brain go way back.
And
Yeah.
he goes way back with everyone in this movie.
Yeah.
But the repetition of Snake Plissken, I thought you were dead, just gets better every time. It's
Also,
said.
like, do they get news on the prison island? Right? Because that begs that question.
Do they
Because
have
otherwise, why would
television?
they know?
Right.
Yeah.
Does anyone? I guess.
my inclination is they thought he was dead before they even ended up on the island. I mean, I like that no one ever
I guess he's sort of,
expounds on that any further.
which is why it's good. I guess he's a war hero.
Right.
So maybe they just thought he.
Also, like, his crime is just like robbing a bank.
Yeah, well, maybe he shouldn't have done that, Karen. Maybe if you don't want to go to Crime Island,
Which,
don't rob a bank.
If you don't want to go to Crime Island, don't steal that bread.
That's true. They
what if
shot
Jean
that
Valjean-
scene
okay.
apparently. Like that. They
him
then
robbing
ended
a
up
bank?
cutting of like basically how he ended up
Oh.
in jail, which I'm so
Smart move.
interested to see though.
I am because I assume that's sort of an opening, but I
Yeah.
prefer it where it's just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you
man,
just
this
go
guy's
in.
scary.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
The lack
It's
of
just like it's a
backstory.
post movie treat where you're just I just want a little more Snake
Right.
Plissken.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could have so much
the
more
lack
Snake.
of substantive backstory, the mystery of filling in the gaps in your head is so much better, and the fact that like we'll get to it, but like the movie ends so abruptly. Like it's like your entire
It's
perception
really
of Snake
funny.
Plissken is this very small sliver, this one mission, how everyone else reacts to him.
Yeah.
You know. But it's like, where did they fucking pull him from? Where's he going to now? You know?
Yes. Brain, he's hanging out with Maggie.
It's nice that they do seem to like each other.
Yes.
I think to some degree, Brain weirdly respects the fact that Pliskin sees through his shit.
Yeah.
He respects it,
Right?
And he's
Everyone
not going
else
to
is
try
buying this.
and impress Snake.
Right,
He knows
right.
that battle is lost.
But it's like he has anyone who believes the line of bullshit that he's selling is an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's
Right.
like Pliskin can see I'm a fucking moron.
Right. The
This
only
guy's
reason
smart.
he's
Yeah.
succeeding on Crime Island is he's whatever.
he
You
can
know,
make gas
Yeah.
He's got a couple
or a
tricks up
fuel
his sleeve.
source.
Right.
Or, yeah, yeah.
Got the There Will Be Blood thing.
He's got the derrick. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's inside.
Right, he drinks people's milkshakes. Yeah.
He does drink people's milkshakes. Maggie, look, Adrienne Barbeau, she's super quiet in this movie. She's super steely, but like she kind of works as like not an over the top like sort of gangster's mole character, I guess.
Yeah, all the anecdotes about the night shoots, right? Which it really seems like everyone was talking about this as if this was a beyond unusual thing. That, A, you don't do many movies where it's all taking place at night, and B, when you do, you almost always shoot day for night, and this was like a complete schedule adjustment for all of them, and all of them in interviews were like, it's like bizarre, you're living like a vampire, I'm going to sleep when the sun comes up, my internal clock is thrown off, and Adrienne Barbeau was like, yeah, I like wake up every morning, I go antique shopping.
Aw.
Yeah, she was having a chill time. It's true.
Like totally, she's the one person who seemed unaffected by this,
Good
and
for her.
Carpenter's
She
like,
also she baked a turkey and used the wishbone to like and put it in her hair.
Yes.
Because she was like, that's
the-
like seems
for
like
her
a good
death.
remedy.
Yeah, right.
No. They,
yes.
no, that's
yes,
her
sorry,
character's
yes,
wardrobe.
sorry,
when she
sorry,
died, she
sorry,
had to
yes.
bake a second turkey
yes,
to get
that's what I
another
got
wishbone.
Oh my
Because she was like,
God.
well,
Yeah.
I
That's
need the wishbone
amazing.
again.
And that made me have a huge crush on her.
Yeah.
Right, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
She had also silver nail polish because she had imagined that Maggie had melted down batteries to use them as nail polish.
That fucking
It
rules.
does rule.
Wow.
We already talked about Donald Pleasance writing a manifesto about how like Maggie Thatcher had
So
colonized America
good.
or whatever to
Right.
explain his
So
character.
good.
Right, and it's like you don't care about that at all, but I would like to see the backstory of Maggie making her nail polish.
That's wild. Yeah, that's really good.
Obviously, Kurt. This is the first Kurt and Carp. Kurt Carp combo.
Kurt
Theatrical.
Carpenter.
Elvis is the
Theatrical.
Right, Elvis
Yes.
is right. Theatrical.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And they just seem to absolutely love each other.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
quote is just them like lavishing praise on each
I
other.
mean, they
Yeah.
both seem like really chill dudes. Where
do seem
now
pretty chill.
John Carpenter's entire reputation, where he's like, I wish I didn't have to work and I could just play NBA, Xbox all day.
Right.
This is true.
But I think it's
Well, it's like right now Carpenter's like, right, I just want to play Fortnite, and Kurt Russell's like, I just want to like not talk about politics and have wine in my winery.
yes.
His top games lists are so fucking funny because it's almost always whatever new Assassin's Creed game
he
came
just
out
likes
that year is
like
the number one.
blockbuster games that are like popular.
Yeah.
Bet he loves the movie.
I wonder if maybe he doesn't.
That's a really good question.
Who knows? Maybe he thinks they fucked it up.
Yeah. What if he came out of retirement and he was like, I have to course correct?
I have to make the actual Assassin's Creed movie.
It would be sick though if he did a sequel
absolutely.
to the movie.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like the pirate one.
Oh, he liked
would love
Assassin's
to do
Creed
a pirate
Valhalla.
movie too. He would fucking kill a
But
pirate movie.
they should let him do an Assassin's Creed movie at an Escape from New York budget. Go like, you have to figure out how to do this for $7 million.
Totally.
And you have to take a former Disney star. You have to take like Mitchell Musso or someone and turn them into.
Well, okay, so they go to the Duke's compound.
Do you ever
Grand
think
Central.
about how John Carpenter is on the record as loving Fallout 76? So theoretically, you could be playing it online and you could be playing it with John Carpenter.
That game is boring. John, why are you playing that game? It's so boring. He just seems like he likes to occupy his time now, right?
That's fair.
It just eats up the hours. For me, I shouldn't diss Fallout 7. Do you like Fallout 76?
Well, I haven't really played it, but
Oh.
here's what John Carpenter said about Fallout 76. I almost just read his name out again. Fallout 76 is a glitchathon of a game, stuttering and freezing, but still fun, addicting with its post-nuke open world, a big game with hit-and-miss missions despite its flaws. I dig it.
Just play the better Fallout games, John. There's other ones.
It's also
He's just
bizarre.
describing Fallout. What?
It's bizarre.
He's just describing Fallout.
John Carpenter's like opinions on video games just read like Game Informer capsule
This is what I'm
reviews.
saying.
There's no real substance to
Yeah.
his game opinions. It's just like, I played it and I
It's
liked
just like
it.
stunning graphics.
But the thing is, I would reuld more of his game opinions.
I would too.
If he had like a podcast every week, him growling about video games, that sounds great.
Yeah.
He's not that. The whole wildest thing is like, I know he's probably never going to make another movie.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this as we go on, but like,
Yeah.
he's younger than like Spielberg is, or
Yeah. It
like,
seems
it's
like he just wants to chill out.
right, because it's. I think if he right now is like, I want to make a movie, he could definitely
Yeah.
make a movie. I don't know
Absolutely.
if he could
Like-
make like a huge budget one, but
Right.
someone would.
Like, people are
Blumhouse
still
would let
obsessed
him make
with
something
him.
tomorrow. Anything he fucking
Yeah.
wanted.
And so
Yeah.
I guess he just isn't into it anymore. But like maybe something will spark for him. And maybe I don't know. It's been like 11 years now.
I don't know. It was the one thing that, right. I think he really was miserable doing the ward, which we will get to. But there was like series of quotes that JJ put at the end of the doc about because there've been for so long so many rumors about this one being remade, and he's been so sort of like, whatever, remake it, I don't care, give me money.
Yeah.
And then
he
Escape
loves
from New
money.
York is the one he gets a little possessive of, and is like, I really think it should be Kurt.
I think the reason is because he knows Kurt cares so much about the character.
Right, I maybe
Right.
owe him
But it
another
is funny
movie.
that on the other hand, Hideo Kojima was like, I'm going to name my character Snake, and he's just going to look exactly like Snake Plissken. And John Carpenter was like, he seems cool, so I'll
Right,
let him
he's
do
just
it.
like, that's a nice man.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
they fucking sued.
they
what's-
did sue Luc Besson
Right.
over Lockout, which is a great movie.
Which rules? Lockout rules.
Lockout rules and is
Lockout-
so good.
I just think that's fascinating because that never fucking happens. Like
Right.
movies are ripping off other movies all the time.
Yeah.
And then you have like people who are like, I wrote a spec script 15 years ago and the studio saw it. You never have like one movie that is very unofficially
do
a remake
wonder-
of another movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if Carpenter is just so ornery. Where like other people be like, see that movie and they'll be like, hey, and they call their agent and they're
Yeah.
just like, you know what, let me call the studio. And the studio's like, oh, you know what, I'll just cut you a check for $100,000.
Right.
Where Carpenter's just like, sue those fuckers. Like, you know?
But it's just wild that like they won.
Yeah.
He got $500,000.
He did.
And then yes, as you said, Karen was just like, well, there's Mel Gibson, a solid thing, but like I like that guy. He's
Yeah, he
nice to
seems
me.
nice, so
The
I'll let
games
him
are
do
good.
it. Yeah.
But Lockout is so good, especially when you consider Guy Pearce is being called on to play Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's interesting
it's a
casting.
fun
and he
movie.
rules.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen Lockout?
Rules.
I have not.
It's Escape from New York, but with a space prison.
Yeah, it's awesome.
He has to
And-
break into space jail to save the president's daughter.
Daughter.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Space jail.
And he's
Interesting.
playing a Snake Plissken type where he's like, I don't want to do it. You know,
Yeah.
like it's the
Right.
same basic vibe.
It's
Okay.
So it's good though. It's
all right.
very
And the
good.
guy from This Is
Rules.
England is in it. Who's quite good.
Who's
Yes,
so good.
he's
in it.
so
He's
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Was-
He's always good.
Gilgan? Is that his
Joe
name?
Gilgan,
Joe
yeah.
Gilgan,
Yeah.
yeah. who is a real Ben type in that he looks like he weighs 80 pounds and and 40 pounds of that is tattoos.
Yeah.
He's wonderful. He's a wonderful
He's
actor.
great. I really love him.
Yeah.
There's this, I've talked about it before, I think, but there's the shot in Lockout where Guy Pearce is smoking a cigarette and someone punches his head and he ducks off screen. And then when he comes back up, the cigarette is bent at a 90-degree angle. It's so good.
Who directed that?
Some fucking Frenchie.
But it's not one of the main Frenchies who then it's not Olivier Megaton.
It's not Olivier. It's no, it's two people. Sorry, Stéphane Saint-Léger and James Mather.
And what have they done since?
I don't fucking know. Thought about how great Lockout was.
Yeah, that's fair.
I hope they're patting themselves on the back 24/7.
We made one really good one, and now we can just hang it up.
I don't know. They did something called. They've worked on Vikings.
It's just weird they didn't do like
No,
5
they've done
more
different
Europa
things.
Corp movies.
Yeah, well, I don't know, Griffin. I can't tell you.
I demand an answer.
Yeah, it looks like they've only been doing Vikings.
Yeah, this guy just does Vikings.
Yeah, well.
Another show that I feel like Ben probably would like, even though he doesn't watch it. Don't you like Vikings, Ben?
Do I like Vikings?
Like in the
The punks
abstract?
of medieval time? Well, are they?
I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know how. I don't have a Viking take.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
There's definitely
Don't
an
need to have
Assassin's Creed game that's Viking, right?
The one that just came out that John Carpenter liked.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
It's fun.
Valhalla, right.
It's kind of stupid, but all the Assassin's Creed games are.
They're stupid.
But they're very fun, and I like playing them.
I should play them. I've never played them.
They're
would
fine.
like.
I know.
I wasn't impressed.
By which one?
I played the pirate one and then the American Revolution one.
Odyssey is really good. That's like the best one so far.
The pirate one is the one from the meme. What's the meme where the Pirates of the Caribbean music is playing and they're like, oh god, no. Is that from Assassin's
I don't know
Creed?
what meme you're talking about, but now I really want to know. You know I love when the Pirates of the Caribbean theme kicks in.
I will say I thought I was
No, it's Sea of Thieves. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's what I thought.
in the pandemic. I thought I was going to get so much deeper into gaming, and I bought like a lot more games and shit because I was just like, well, what else am I going to do with my time? And I never really like fell all the way in.
What have you played so far?
I don't even know. This is the point I'm going to make, is that I recently bought a used Game Boy Advance and a bunch of games, and I've been playing that nonstop, and I'm just like, oh yeah, games are too complicated for me now.
Well, I think this is my take on it. I also, same thing, like during the lockdown, thought I would get more into gaming.
David and Karen just watching a video on mic now.
Yeah, they're watching some silly meme. Okay.
I've always watched this at Sea of Thieves, and I've been like, what is this game where you're driving a whole pirate ship?
One of my friends is really into this, but I have such a hard time with online games.
Is that it's like you're on some pirate ship, and I guess this is the game.
The whole
then
game
some
is just-
other ship is approaching, and then you hear the gamers going like, oh no, we have too much shit. Oh god, oh fuck, and they try and get out of the way, and I'm like, so is this the game is just like you just like bored it's
Well,
just
that
you're
was
a
a big
pirate?
part of why I didn't like that game. I couldn't fucking steer that goddamn ship, shooting fucking cannons, fucking doing all this goddamn bullshit. It's way too fucking
That
hard.
is the bad part of Odyssey is you
Right.
do sometimes have to do naval combat, and I could just never
It's
get
hard.
good
This
at
is the problem with
So
so many
hard.
games where I'm like,
naval combat sucks ass. I never want to do
love
it.
NBA Jam, right? And I'm like,
Right.
I want to play the modern NBA game, and it's like, okay, so here's how you post up. It's sort of like a shifting motion, but not too hard on the stick. And I'm like, I don't want this to just realistically
Yes,
be
this is
how
what
you
I'm
play
saying.
basketball.
I have found it so relaxing to play fucking Game Boy Advance games where I'm like, this is so simple.
What have you been playing on the GBA?
I'm playing the Ratatouille game where you're a little rat. You're in a kitchen. You try and jump up the levels
This is
and get
adorable.
cheese.
I didn't know that there's a Ratatouille game.
It's good.
All right.
Okay, and I was just saying, when Griffin and I were
Yeah.
talking, that I think another thing of why I couldn't get into video games because I played Breath of the Wild,
Breath of the
which
Wild
is probably
whips
the
ass.
best.
You're
game.
saying that just kind of blew your mind so much that other games you're like, no,
Right,
thank
and then
you.
I try another RPG like Witcher 3, and I'm like, this game's for nerds. God,
Okay,
it's
all right.
boring.
Shut the fuck up. Witcher 3 rules.
Or I play Assassin's Creed, and it's just like it's not as movable as
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Well,
It's
Breath
a
of the
little
Wild
bit more
obviously
like
Breath of the Wild is
stringent.
really
It's a beautifully
pinnacle.
right.
Yeah.
Beautifully
It's just
made.
Gwent?
it's a
It's
masterpiece.
pretty fun.
Witcher 3 was incredible. You just need to park your ass in
Make a
front of
fucking
it.
potion.
You don't need to. Well, you have to occasionally make a potion.
Fucking potions. Pick a shit off the ground.
Yeah, pick up a flower and grind it up.
It is true that crafting is almost universally the worst part of any game.
It is
I hate
never
crafting.
the most fun.
Just let me collect money and buy the thing. I don't want to craft.
Griffin likes it.
Ratatouille's got some fun.
Griffin's
cooking.
like, I have to get a berry or something?
Yeah,
cool.
I like collecting shit. Unsurprisingly, my favorite part.
That's why you like those Lego games.
Yes,
it's all
unlocking characters.
It's all like 100%ing things.
Yes, I like 100%ing things.
100%.
They're just slightly more advanced platformers. But I think I want to build a bridge here. There's like an analogy here to, I feel like, modern action films, especially if you're doing sci-fi,
this is good
genre mashup action shit, getting like so overly complicated, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas like Escape from New York, it's like every character you understand immediately.
Yeah.
You understand exactly what the objectives are. You understand the clock, the spatial relation of where he needs to be, you know, what he has at his disposal. Like it's what are his moves? What's in his inventory?
Yeah.
Like all that shit. It just makes it such a pleasant watch to just feel like there's no moment where you have to be like, wait a second, why did that? When did he get that? What is he trying to do here in this scene?
Yeah. Wait, Ben, I have a Breath of the Wild question. What do you make of the fact that the weapons break? Do you like that or do you not like that? Yeah.
I mean, it's annoying. Yes.
I mean, this is my maybe hot take. I do think Breath of the Wild is beautiful. I think it's a very good game. But I am like a Zelda boy where I'm like, I want to get the sword and have that be like a crucial plot moment. And that's the sword that I have now. Not like, you just got like an angel's dick sword and then you like use it for 5 minutes. It's like, it broke. Like,
the Master Sword exists.
Yeah, I know. But it's a pain in the ass to get the Master Sword.
Yeah, it is a pain in the ass. But and I know. It like there are definitely times where I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. You're like
fist fighting
you're like
fucking
deep
monster.
in like the Terminator's asshole and then suddenly like your thing breaks. So you're like, shit.
I know. It's
and
so
you have to like
annoying.
go make a curry to heal or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
back
sort
in
of,
my day, you smashed a bottle, a heart came out.
Yeah, that was nice. But sort of to Griffin's point, like I do agree. I feel that's a major problem with a lot of movies recently, not just action movies, because the whole idea now is like we want to make something that's a franchise. We want to make something that's really expandable, and part of that is trying to build in so much lore so that you can keep building on it.
Yeah.
And I guess also in the sort of video game vein, like I played Cyberpunk recently, and that is kind of the classic example of trying to do too much, where they're like, oh, we can make this world so fucking cool, we can do all this shit, and then all of it only goes about halfway, and you're like, I don't.
Right, and on my other problem with Cyberpunk, and I should play it longer because I spent so much time on my character's penis. And then like I played it for like 20 minutes, and I was like, I'm not gripped by this. Like I don't actually care about the story so much. The world could be interesting, but it felt generic otherwise. I should go back to it.
There's just a beauty to sort of the pockets of mystery in Escape from New York, how much goes unexplained, but also just like I feel like a third, if not more, of like modern, $100 million plus budget action films, adventure films, sci-fi films, whatever. You'd be hard pressed if you paused the movie in the last act and turned to the person watching it to answer what is going on. Where it's like they like keep you floating on some level of pleasance, but then if you actually, not Donald Pleasance, unfortunately,
I wish,
but if you had to actually answer like what are they doing at this moment and why are they doing it and what are they trying to achieve, it becomes so abstract, and not only that, it's like that objective isn't introduced until 5 minutes before that becomes the sequence, versus something like this where it's just like, hey, Snake, I'm Lee Van Cleef. I'm the most fucking compelling guy who's ever been on camera. Let me tell you everything that's going to happen for the next 90 minutes. Have fun.
Yeah.
And it's just like, exactly what the fuck is going on in this movie.
Well, it's very much a simplicity thing, right? Where it's like, if you have this story and you only focus on that, then there's no getting lost. And it's compelling, like start to finish, because you're getting from point A to point B and that's it. Right. Whereas everything else, it's like trying to set up these branches. And as a result, like the main line is like, who gives a shit about that?
Which I think audiences like to do a certain amount of work, right? You're most engaged in a movie when you're having to put some stuff together,
Yeah.
And so the less that's explained, or sort of dumped on your lap, the more invested the audience is going to be in trying to do some of that work themselves.
Yeah.
And so anytime a new character is introduced in this movie or a new wrinkle, you're sort of like analyzing it the way you do in a video game where you're like, what do I need to figure out in this room?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, why is this either going to be an imposition or an aid to his ultimate goal?
Right.
Which it's just like, right, then you can just have these weird, they don't feel like side tangents when you suddenly end up in a new space or introduced to a new character or a new rule, because all of it feels like, well, it's either going to help or hurt, but it's not going to take away from what we're ultimately working towards.
But it's just also, it's brilliant in that if you sit down and map it all out, you're like, oh, they only meet like 6 people and do like 3 things in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not that much happens. The fight in the ring is the one thing where you're like, oh, this is sort of blown out. And
Yeah.
Right.
there's like a lot of people around. But like mostly it's just sort of some tense conversations.
Yeah.
Like the big chase on the bridge. I mean, it's part of the Magic the Carpenter score too, where it's like less is more with everything, right? You know, so it's like a lot of silence and very quiet music.
Yeah.
Okay, just one thing I want to make sure we, as we're like getting through towards the end, I just love that Isaac Hayes and his crew, like, you know, just like I love baddies, right?
Yeah.
They're so fun.
They are fun.
Okay. And I love that they're just recklessly shooting at the president and doing target practice.
Put him in a wig.
Yeah.
I just
well.
think that is so fucking crazy and badass. Like, man.
You just like how rude everyone is in this
Absolutely.
movie. That's what you like. You
Yeah.
like how rude Snake is.
Yep.
You like how rude the bad guys are.
Totally.
I have to say,
absolutely.
as we were talking about Lee Van Cleef, I just went on Google Image Search just to look at some pictures of him. And you know that they will provide like related links up in that biz. One of them is just Lee Van Cleef funeral, which I'm very concerned about and curious to click, but not sure if I should.
What do you mean? You don't want to hear about his funeral?
You don't want to see
It's the image search. It's not a Google related search.
Well, it may just give you his very cool gravestone that we talked about. Right.
That's true.
It does
Okay,
seem
I think
like
this is just a picture from a movie
Right,
because
'cause there
from
are-
the thumbnail I was like, did they just
I
show
see.
him
It looks like an
open
open casket, but
yeah.
no, I think it's just from a movie.
Yeah.
But like, there are those very sweet pictures of him and Kurt Russell, like
They're very cute.
having fun strangling each other on set.
The one,
basically.
yeah, the one where they're both smiling as they're both like choking each other is cute.
Man, look at this fucking Lee Van Cleef on Johnny Carson wearing like the biggest medallion
Yeah,
I've
I
ever
just
seen.
opened that. It's so good.
Well, he had just come from raiding the like fucking Tomb of the Lost Ark or whatever.
It's just something about like Lee Van Cleef in the 70s or 80s, you know, where it's just like this guy fundamentally doesn't feel modern, you know, which is why he worked so well in like the Leone movies and everything. And then when you put him in any other milieu, it like immediately gives you this like interesting charge, you know, like this polarity. Yeah. David.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows me knows I love 3 things most in this world.
What do you love?
Various form factors of THC,
Of course.
online app-based banking services,
Of course.
and the movies.
The movies.
The
See what I did there?
movies, my big 3. But I gotta admit, I maybe like the movies the most.
You like these guys the most? Look.
I like them a lot. I think they're really cool.
I don't know if you know about Mubi, which is a curated streaming service that shows exceptional films from around the globe.
I do. I've been hosting this podcast with you for almost 7 years, and Mubi's been a sponsor on it for about 3. I do know them. I use their service a lot. I appreciate you not being so condescending.
Every day they premiere a new film, right? They've got iconic directors. They've got emerging auteurs. They hand select these things, okay? It's like your own personal film festival.
Cherry picked.
And we just like to load up Mubi and take a look at some of the stuff they got, because that's what the kind of thing they've got going on here, man.
Fritz Lang's Indian epic.
I was
It's
about
this
to
huge
say.
2-part Indian film that he made, The
Late
Indian
in his
Tomb and the
career.
Tiger of Eshnapur, and they have been restored in 4K, and this is, I believe, the first time those restorations have been streaming anywhere.
The Terrorizers, early Edward Yang, one of the great directors. What else have we got here? We got a cool Ryuichi Sakamoto double bill, the movie Coda, the documentary about him, and then a performance he gave at the Park Avenue Armory. Like, that's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of care these guys are putting in.
Yeah,
and then
that's
there's just like
hand-selected.
cool frickin', collections like 70s masterpieces that has like, Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie and Holy Mountain and El Topo and, a lot of cool movies.
They have like a near complete collection of Jodorowsky movies right now.
Yeah, they got a lot of Jodorowsky.
Not all of them, but almost all of them.
Got some. We've talked about it, but they got some great Petzold. They got Stephen Cohn, friend of the show. They got a lot of cool stuff. Now listen,
Bad Lieutenant, a movie that's based on Bo Dietl, except not the bad stuff, as he would say.
Yep. We were just talking about that one. And Griffin, if you try Movie Free for 30 days at Mubi.com/check. That's MUBI.com/check. You'll get a whole month of great cinema for free, and then you're going to want to keep it because it's a good service. They're
Sean Baker's Starlet. Did you say that?
I didn't, but that's, watch that in preparation for Red Rocket.
Funny, haha, Uncertain Terms. I'm just looking at American Indies now. They got a lot of good ones here. Color Wheel, our buddy Alex Ross Perry's movie. Keep the Lights On, Iris Sachs' Sundance winning film. These are just great options.
Yeah. Mubi.com/check.
Yeah, just watch some movies.
So they go to the one of the World Trade Center buildings, right, to escape. The glider does not work out.
Mm-hmm.
I do love those little fuckers who are just like,
they just don't. They're like 2-year-olds having a tantrum. They have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's so useful, and they're just like, yes. So instead, they, Snake thinks fast. Obviously the plot has presented an alternate route, the Mind Bridge, the quote unquote 69th Street Bridge, which is, I guess, supposed to be the 59th Street Bridge. There's mines, but it's small scale.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a few explosions, and they're pretty little. You know what I mean? I like all this. This is the whole less is more thing.
Yeah.
The final showdown is great. Isaac Hayes like wailing on people with a machine gun. The president getting to finally cut loose. That's Pleasance having fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
When
so
he's
good.
like finally gets it. You're right, number one, the Duke.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Griffin, you're looking something up.
No, I'm looking for additional trivia facts here. I mean, just a tiny thing, but I not to go backwards here, but the eye patch was a Russell thing. Which I also think is so telling, where a lot of people would have been like, I don't want to fucking cover up my face. And he was like, I need to look different. Like, I need to make a different guy.
I don't think this movie works without the iPad.
I don't either.
No,
it's kind of like 10%
not.
of the movie right there.
I kind of agree. Yeah.
I mean, if he's just like some guy, he'd probably be pretty cool.
Right.
The eye patch is crucial.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've considered getting an eye patch.
I know you have, Ben.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Style, color.
I mean, just classic black leather.
Skull and crossbones.
I was going to say.
Skull and crossbones.
Griff, do you like the ending?
Yeah, rules. I mean, this is like another thing.
I like the deaths too. I think they're all kind of impactful.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the very end. But yes,
I mean,
of
course,
I
the
love
final.
I mean, this movie's like perfect. It's just one of those things where it's like
the thing with the tape is so good.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
And the sort of irony of Snake being like, I got you the president.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I did my job.
I did the thing you asked me to do, and I also figured out what you really fucking wanted, you rats.
Which, by the way,
fuck you.
Maybe
peace
put
out,
your
movie
nuclear info on not a cassette.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly more advanced technology.
An incredibly easily destroyable piece of technology.
Yeah. At least put a mini disc or something.
A laser disc or something.
Got a harder shell.
Yeah, giant laser disc.
Laser disc. He's carrying with two hands.
I also love that, like, they're more dealing with the president, and he's like, "Come on, my neck is about to explode."
Yeah.
Like,
Really
you
down to the
motherfucker.
wire, too.
Yeah.
Him dropping from the rope before it lets him down. Little things like that are really
Yeah, I love the look of the little
the little doctor guy.
No, yes, but I was gonna say the little ship.
Oh, yeah.
The doctor guy's on the level from the beginning.
I like the little doctor guy.
Little doctor
Another
guy
Griffey
rules.
role.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to kill Snake.
No.
He wants to be honest.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Perfect movie, I think. Well, pretty perfect.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I think
I don't
so.
really
pretty
have an
good.
objection to this
I
movie.
don't
No.
either.
It's a little... No.
No, right. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, just what I'm sort of fascinated by it, I keep on repeating myself here, but it's just like how much it is cited by so many people as an influence and how often people get it wrong by overcomplicating it, you know?
I mean, I feel like that's such a common pattern, though. Even with like John Wick, where it's like that became popular and then everyone tried to do it, but they completely missed. Like every copy of it is bad.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I remember reading serious talk of a remake to this was post 300 when everyone was trying to figure out what Gerard Butler's deal was. And that got set up very quickly. And I remember Kurt Russell was very critical of it and saying that only an American should play Snake Plissken, which seemed kind of...
Sort of a weird objection by him.
Jingoistic, but then it makes more sense if you just consider his kind of like possessiveness of the character, not wanting to see someone else play it. And then I know The Rock is now supposed to do Big Trouble in Little China, but at one point he was going to do Escape as well, right?
Wow.
I hope neither of those things happen, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that just feels like we've talked enough about The Rock, but like, it's like, it's not surprising anymore to see The Rock as like a sort of off-center badass. He's done that so many times.
That's what I'm saying. The Rock would be... look, I don't think he should do either of these. I don't think either of these things should be remade in a literal fashion, but he'd be better in a Jack Burton type role than he would in a Snake Plissken type role.
He's going more for Jack Burton these days.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
That's kind of what he's...
Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise is more... Did you see Jungle Cruise?
I did. Well, we could talk about it.
Did you like it? I
thought it was fine.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's a nice, fun movie. Yeah. Who cares?
I thought it was fine. Here was an immediate thought I had. How much better...
This isn't a very immediate thought.
No, not quite.
No, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. How much better would that movie be if it was Oscar Isaac?
I mean, a lot of movies would be better with Oscar Isaac.
I know, but it was an immediate thought I had because that movie does not actually require a lot out of that character as an action star, right?
No,
in a
I
certain
know.
way, the Blunt character is more physical than he is.
Yeah, no, I know.
And the main thing you want is like fucking salty, like oil and water chemistry.
That movie's like, well, he's The Rock. He has to do some action, and his action feels a little perfuntry sometimes.
Right,
and also
but
the sort of supernatural
the twist
stuff
is like insane. You can't
the
see
twist
that coming.
is insane.
I mean,
which I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it, although it's been out for whatever at this point in time. The twist would have made more sense if it was Oscar Isaac, for example, in a number of ways, right? I also think he's better at playing that sort of anger and having a subtle sweetness to him underneath
Poe
it.
Dameron style.
Right. I like that works if he's just in Poe Dameron mode. That movie also works 1,000 times better if it's Idris Elba.
Idris.
I mean, you're naming actors I like.
Yeah.
Right. I just feel like that role is actually kind of deceptively complicated in terms of how many things they're putting on that character
And
also
wanting
wanting him to become iconic.
Yeah.
And I feel like he delivers every line in that movie like he's presenting a Kid's Choice Award.
Well,
like there's a little bit of his
character
just
will
kind of
never become
avuncular,
iconic.
I'm The Rock. Even when I'm being an asshole, I don't really mean it. And like all the groaner jokes, I'm like, you're not selling them hard enough. Like you should be more embarrassing, more of an asshole, more horny, more sweet. Like everything's kind of just in the middle with him. And I wanted someone who was a little pricklier.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
Did they go on a Jungle Cruise though?
They did. Look,
Yeah, okay, so what's your fucking objection?
it's a
That's what
fun
the
movie
movie's
to
called.
watch.
No,
I like the beak, honey bee conquistador.
Yeah, the bee guy.
The beam, that's a good idea.
The three
is the
elements,
thing.
of course. I mean, look, it's clearly like rejected Crash McCreary designs, right, from Dead Man's Chest. But I like that they're like three conquistadors. What are their things? Snakes, poo-poo mud, and honeycombs.
And there's the wood one, the like tree one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
There's four of them.
Yeah.
Right?
The tree branches.
Not that
I
this
don't
is
know.
important. Who cares?
Jungle Cruise Corner. Yes.
Clement's horn.
But I was just gonna say,
he's so good.
both times when The Rock has talked about doing these fucking movies, he goes like, well, we're like really trying to use those films as a starting point and really ask larger questions about the world. And it's like, no one cares. Everyone is indebted to Carpenter and doesn't understand how much of an asset it was that A, he was sort of no bullshit in how he approached things, and B, studios never let him go that deep up his own ass. Not that I think he ever could even go that deep. You know?
Yeah.
But that these things are just like, I don't know, what's like a compelling story, like well told. And it's the difference between like people are now trying to make John Carpenter movies, but John Carpenter was trying to make Hawks movies. And they're losing the Hawks lineage and they're just going like, well, what's the Carpenter thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's play the box office game.
Let's play the box office game.
This movie was a hit.
It was a hit.
It cost $7 million and it made 25. I don't know, pretty good.
Because The Fog was kind of a not well received. Did okay.
Yeah,
but...
it was successful. It was profitable. I mean, he's doing both these at a low budget. Neither of them are hitting like the blockbuster levels of Halloween. He never hits that again.
Sure.
Nothing is the stunning right. But yeah.
But these are like successful movies. Yes.
This film came out middle of summer, 15th of June, 1981. It opened number 3.
Okay.
Number 1 is, my guess, one of the biggest movies of the year, a sequel. It's a sequel.
1981.
Not as many sequels back then.
It's a 2?
It's a 2. It's the 3rd most successful film of the year.
Wow.
Okay. It's a number 2. Can you tell me the genre?
I'll just give it away.
As broad as you can. Is it a serious franchise? Is it a comedy franchise?
It's a serious franchise, but it's for families and kids and everybody to enjoy. This film was made sort of back to back with the first one.
Is it Superman 2?
It's Superman 2.
Right.
Very hard because I was like, I can't say comic book and I can't say
Superman.
But anyway, there's nothing I could say. Really. Superman 2.
Yeah,
before Zod.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I did all the Superman movies recently. I really enjoy them, even for all their wonkiness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I like it. It's good. Dickie Lester.
Dickie Lester recently died, right?
Yeah, pretty recently.
Wait, or is he still alive?
No, I think
he's still alive. This
really?
When Richard Donner died, Jordan
Mm-hmm.
Hoffman texted me and was like, "Did you know Richard Lester's still alive?" And I was like, "No, but okay."
And he just hasn't made a movie in like 30 years,
He's
right?
like 90 years old. He's an old
I know,
man.
but he retired fairly young, all considering.
Yeah. Have you ever seen? Because I've never seen
the Donner cut.
The Donner cut. Because I've been told it's so weird because it's like cutting in like sort of unfinished stuff and screen tests and
It's like it's a reconstruction project to just give you an idea of what it would have been, but there's no way to actually make that, and Donner didn't even supervise it. But it's interesting. Yeah. I mean I like both. I like the Lester movie. It's weird. I kind of just wish they had let Donner finish shit.
Yeah.
Related to the Donner Party? Any relation? Okay.
No.
Superman 2, number 1. Number 2 is the most successful film of 1981.
Okay. The most successful film of 1981 would have been... It's not Kramer versus Kramer. That's 80, right?
Nope. Not a Best Picture winner, although it was, I believe, a Best Picture nominee.
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark?
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's like a good week.
Yeah, it's a good movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well directed, I would say.
Cool characters.
Number 3, Escape from New York. I'm just like, go to your multiplex.
Yeah.
3 good movies playing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's also just wild that like Raiders of the Lost Ark got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, whatever, because they were just like, I don't know, we can't deny this thing, really. I guess, right? We gotta admit.
Yes, but then it doesn't win. I think this is the Chariots of Fire year. I can't remember.
Yes.
It's still they're not gutsy enough to give Spielberg the win in the 80s. That's the whole thing for the pulpy stuff.
Right.
And then so Spielberg's like, "Do you want the serious stuff?" And they're like, "No, you're a phony." Like it takes so long for him to.
It's just funny that like this is his pulpiest movie up until this point. Like it's almost like him being like, "Oh, Jaws and Close Encounters were like too heady and ambitious. I want to make something that's like just fucking popcorn." And they were like, God damn it, here's a Best Picture nomination.
It's so weird in retrospect that he was like, he does that. He's so successful. And the Oscars are like, we'll give you the nom, but not the win. You're successful. We think you're, kind of, too cartoony. Then he's like, okay, what if I made a movie about Japan in World War II? And they're like, no. He's like, what if I made a movie about the experience of black women in the 20th century? They're like, no. And he's like, oh, I should make a movie about the Holocaust. I'm Jewish. And they're like,
Jewish. Yes.
It's just so weird that he comes to that later.
Yeah.
I know he talks about how he was like afraid of making a movie about the Holocaust. Like, of course, it's good, but it's weird that he was like, what if I make a movie about black women?
It's very odd.
Anyway.
Number
4 is a James Bond movie.
Fuck.
Which is enough of a clue that there's still, it could be so many things.
So is it late more?
It's mid more. We're in the middle of more. I believe this is the 3rd more. Okay. I want to get that right.
So it's like Demi Moore?
Oh, I take it back. This is the 5th more.
Whoa.
Wow. He's
Out
really
of
7. So he's getting a little long in the tooth.
Wait,
at
is
this
Demi
point.
related?
No.
It is a pretty mediocre one, I would say.
It's pretty mediocre. Is Man with the Golden Gun?
No, that one stinks, even though Christopher Lee is great.
Yeah, and
but
he's
everything
got
else
a
about it stinks.
golden gun.
He does have a golden gun.
It's pretty cool.
That's the second Moore. The first Moore is
Okay.
Live and Let Die, which
Right.
is the sort of one that's very blaxploitation influenced and is
Right.
a lot of fun, but also ridiculous.
Yeah.
Second is Man with a Golden Gun, which sort of stinks. Third is Spy Who Loved Me, which is sort of the perfect Roger Moore movie. Fourth is Moonraker,
Right.
which rules, but
Right.
is so silly. Fifth is this. It's kind of an anonymous one.
It's post Moonraker.
It is.
I'm trying to just fucking run through the titles in my head.
Yes. Topol is in this one.
Wow.
Oh fuck!
I
And I've been
believe the
looking at
villain is played
Topol's
by Julian Glover. Yes.
Wikipedia a lot lately.
Well, here, I'll tell you the other ones. Then after this is Octopussy,
Right.
which is a film that's called Octopussy.
I've never
Correct.
seen any of the Moore films. Do you
They're
know
good. We
this?
should do 'em all.
Moore's like a total
Oh.
blind.
I mean, they're
spot
up
for
and
me.
down. Do you like Roger Moore?
He's all right.
Okay. And then the seventh is A View to a Kill, which is the one with Walken, and it's the one where Moore is like visibly in his like late 50s and is sort of like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, but they can't
Sure.
quite let it go.
Yeah. Walken very good in that.
Really good in that.
People
Yes,
are like,
having fun.
This is
Yeah.
one of those things where people are yelling at
I
their
guess so.
fucking-
It's got a very generic Bond title to it as well. Like,
It
it's
doesn't
not the
make
one where they were
sense.
like, let's get pussy in the title there.
What's it called?
It's called For Your Eyes Only.
Oh yeah.
Good
yeah.
movie. Or
Yeah.
no, it's fine. I don't know.
Right, you said it was mediocre.
I don't.
British
It's
Eyes
the one
Only.
where I don't even remember it.
All
I
right.
don't. I don't.
Who's the villain in that?
Julian Glover.
Oh, you said. Sorry. Yes.
He's like a guy in it. He's like, I need
He's
to
just
make
some
some
guy.
money. Yeah, you know, he's not crazy. He's not like Moonraker, where the villain is like, I'm going to replace Earth with a master race, and you're like, you are?
God.
That seems complicated. Anyway, number 5, Griffin.
Uh-huh.
It's a comedy starring one of your favorite comedy actors. It's one of his early hits.
Is it a Murray? Is it
is.
Is it? It's not Meatballs.
No,
Is it Stripes?
it sure is Stripes.
A movie that is only 1 hour long.
First act good. Number 6 is an animated film that Kurt Russell's in.
Fox and the Hound.
Same weekend.
Wow.
That's incredible for how much this movie is about Russell trying to shed the
Yeah.
And he's
Disney
also
image.
like, I'm a cute dog. Is he the dog?
No,
he's the fox.
Yes. What's his name? Mickey Rooney is the dog.
Oh, wow.
He's Todd the fox.
Also got The Great Muppet Caper.
I know.
Oh.
Famous Blake Edwards directed flop SOB.
Oh yeah.
You've got Cannonball Run.
Oh,
SOB is the
amazing.
one where
Julie
Julie
Andrews is nude.
shows her boobs and people got
People were like,
furious
"This
and
is
torched
illegal."
the screen.
Yeah. Like they were like, you just can't do it. I think she had this thought of like, I need to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you know, I need
That
to
was
not
her escape from
be
New
right,
York.
right. But
And then they got really mad
it's
at
like her pulling a snake. Yeah.
they got mad at Blake Edwards.
I think everyone was just like, yeah, this is just not allowed.
How could this
Right,
happen?
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Cannonball Run, a movie called The Four Seasons, which I don't know, with
that's-
Alan Alda.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, one of those movies where the poster is just Alan Alda and Carol Burnett
Yep.
Yeah.
having a drink.
Sometimes that's all you need.
I guess so.
Let's get lunch.
Here's to old friends. That's the fucking tagline.
Your Alda sounds very Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do all of that.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's Escape from New York, baby.
Wow.
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 How you feeling about it, Karen?
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
What does it end up at again?
It's like 25.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's happy.
That was one of those.
But
things,
it's more of a cult hit kind of
Carpenter's
thing.
whole
Yeah.
thing was like, oh, these don't break out, but they're profitable.
Yeah.
He's a return on investment guy.
Except the thing is, I think he's had enough of those that
Yeah.
the next movie can be more expensive.
Yes.
And then, as amazing as the thing is,
Right.
it's a flop and it's hated,
Right. That-
which is
that
so
kinda
crazy to
kills
consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people
It's
are
insane.
like, "Fuck this!" Like,
Yeah.
because it rules, and that's
Yeah.
next week.
I will say I
obviously.
probably will rewatch this and bring it up a lot in the next episode. But I know it's probably on YouTube or whatever. I know it's on the Criterion Videodrome. There's like an amazing like hour-long TV panel show where it is Carpenter, Landis, and who's the third one I'm forgetting? And Cronenberg, obviously,
Ooh,
dumb. It's on the Videodrome DVD. But it was like, oh, Universal's letting these three guys make sort of a new era of Universal monster movie.
Right.
You know, it was sort of like these are the young upstarts, and we're giving them a bigger budget after like impressing on smaller scales to make their big creature features. And it was The Thing, American Werewolf in London, and Videodrome.
Oh
Good
my
movies.
gosh.
And just and it's also just
But
the
absolutely
contrast
not
of the
what
three
the
are
studio must have
interesting.
been looking for.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's like, well, Carpenter's doing like a remake of like a real B movie, right? Landis is doing sort of his weird modern version of like one of the classic monster archetypes. And then Cronenberg's doing a movie about like fucking your chest vagina with your penis gun.
Yep.
And they're just like, new monster movies coming to you in
Oh,
the year.
God.
Dr. Brian Oblivion.
Yeah,
One day we'll do Cronenberg.
we must.
Well, he's got, you know what? He's making a movie.
Yes, right now,
Yeah.
right? Didn't they just start filming?
he's
gonna fucking
remaking, what is it, Crimes of the Future or whatever it is, basically,
Right.
right? Like, that's what it is?
Yes.
Vigo's in it?
You guys aren't pointing out that my head just exploded when you
Scanner
mentioned that
style.
we were going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Cronenberg.
Ben's head
You
exploded.
think Vigo will hang peen again?
I think he would if someone asked him to.
Do you think he'll have a cobra on it, though? Just to bring it back
I thought you were
around
going
to
to
the
ask,
think
do you
it would
think he'll
be-
have a peen?
start. You think he'll have one this time? No.
I think it would be, he would, but it would be, the art would be different. It wouldn't be all black filled in. It would be like the outline of it, you know, and like the art filled in. It wouldn't be just a solid black snake.
Sure, fair enough. That's fine.
That's my opinion.
I can dig that.
How many times has he hung peen now?
At least like two or
Vigo,
three.
a couple times that I can think of.
Yeah.
Indian Runner, which is
David
a
just
movie.
pulled a piece of paper out from his
What?
jeans.
And Eastern
Do you have
Promises.
a peen list?
Parchment.
Oh,
I definitely have a peen list.
Yeah.
up here, baby.
Eastern Promise obviously doesn't he Captain Fantastic?
Oh, he does. That's right.
Right.
Oh my God, remember when he got an Oscar nomination for that?
bad movie.
Bad movie.
What was the
I guess he's
category?
good in it.
Peen?
I think he's always pretty good, but
He's
that
always
movie
pretty
is
good.
bad.
He's always pretty good,
It also just
especially
felt like one of those-
when he's Italian. The thing about Viggo Mortensen is he was in
Okay.
Green Book.
He was.
It's mind blowing.
I've never seen it.
It's mind blowing.
I think I blacked that out of my memory.
The further you get from it, you're like, right, Viggo Mortensen, that wonderful sort of genre actor who's
Yes.
mostly an art house guy,
Yeah.
so beautiful, so poetic, really arresting screen presence. You're like, wait, didn't he also play a talking sandwich in a Best Picture winning
Tony
Green Book?
Tony. Yeah.
Like, what
Famously
the fuck?
folded a pizza in half and ate
like,
it that
it's
way.
just like
yeah.
weird. Just like
And
he's like,
people-
I think I know what this character is. Hey, I'm a racist Italian guy. like that's what he did. And the Oscars were like, nomination for you. Good job.
No, it was like slam dunk cakewalk nomination. Also, people were like, "This is the funniest performance in
Oh,
years."
God.
People were
I like.
treating it
Can
like
you imagine like his body of work and then you get nominated for Green Book? Like, what does he think about that?
it's also.
I think he thinks it's great.
Oh
I
my
don't.
God.
That's what I was gonna say. The whole campaign trail, like it always felt like Mahershala was kind of like a little weary of Green Book and a little embarrassed by it, and Vigo was like, "This movie is profound."
I mean, that explains Captain Fantastic.
Yes,
That's a movie I feel like he thinks is beautiful.
Yes,
and I'm
absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
ooh.
it is
Yeah.
such
No.
odd casting in every
But he
single
does hang
way.
peen.
Is Green Book Vigo's fourth highest grossing film behind the Lord of the Rings movie?
Oh,
Probably.
Has to be. Like this is the other thing that's fascinating is he's a guy who like so largely avoided becoming
yeah.
a Hollywood leading man, and then he's the fucking star of
Green Book.
the breakout comedy
The
sensation.
question is,
global
Green Book
comedy
did
sensation.
so well
That's what I
overseas
was
that
gonna
did
say.
it maybe sneak
Oh my
past
God.
like
No,
fellowship.
no, no,
Right.
no, 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 no.
Green Book was like fucking huge.
Okay, it didn't. I was being
Oh,
ridiculous.
God. Oh,
Wait a
God, oh,
second.
God.
The difference is 891 to 202 or whatever, or 320.
320.
gosh.
But yeah,
320
Green
is the
Book is
worldwide-
his second highest grosser. But if you go domestic, sorry, it's his fourth highest grosser. But if you go domestic, it's behind Crimson Tide.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Because Green Book actually kind of quote unquote underperformed in America in terms of like the hype it got. It actually didn't crack 100,
it-
but then it kicked
right.
ass worldwide.
It bombed
So
so hard when it
strange.
came out, and everyone was like, "It's done."
Right.
And then it like sleepwalked its way to 80 whatever. And then people were like, "Huh, good result on Green Book." And then it opens in France, and they're like, "Ah!"
Well, no, but China loved it. It
Everywhere.
was huge in China. Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah, every other country just lost their fucking
He's got a
shit.
God.
weird box office. His sixth most popular American movie is
Hidalgo.
A Perfect Murder.
Oh, sure.
It's Hidalgo worldwide. But in worldwide, also Daylight is higher than Hidalgo because Daylight crushed worldwide and did terrible in America.
Someone was recently on our Reddit, like pulling up how surprised they were that Viggo got above the title on A Perfect Murder.
He was a thing.
Yeah.
And this is the thing I had to sort of like, I don't think I wrote this, but I drafted this in my head and then decided to close my computer instead.
Smart.
Very smart.
Always smart. It's a method of self-care I've been practicing a lot lately.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. There is that thing that happens sometimes where Hollywood's like, we're putting this guy above the title, not because he's been a lead yet, not because he's proven, but we're so confident this guy's a movie star.
Because he's so hot.
Where they were just like, he's so hot, he's so good. Like, it's got to happen, right? We'll just put him there and everyone, like, will say, I guess that belongs. He should be this.
Yeah.
And then he sort of just, like...
He was like, no, I want to do my poetry and photography.
Yeah, like, actively avoid it until Lord of the Rings, a movie he got hired on to, like, 5 days before filming started. And then everyone was like, great, you're Viggo Mortensen now. And he's like, yeah, no, thank you, pass.
Yeah,
like,
I'll
does
do
Hidalgo? It is
I'm
like,
like,
absolutely not. Yeah. Anyway, it's
We're
got a
done.
good penis.
Yeah, he does. Great penis.
I don't remember it.
It's fine. I don't mean to be rude. It's good. It's good.
It's good.
All
David, don't.
Well, in the Eastern Promises scene, obviously he's rumbling with some fellas
He's rumbling
in the
and
bathhouse.
tumbling.
Right.
Flapping
so,
and flipping.
It's a lot of flapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good point.
Anyway, this, of course, has been our episode on Escape from New York, beginning and ending with extended penis conversations.
We really took it full circle.
We really did.
I don't know. I was going to try a pun there, but I don't know. I really have to
what
pee.
was...
I don't know.
Okay.
Full circle. I couldn't figure it out.
Karen, is there anything
Ben's making a face.
you have or want to plug?
I don't think so. You can follow me on Twitter at Karen Wyhan. I'm trying to think about
You
what I'm
should
allowed to
watch
talk
your
about.
Oh
Karen's Boys
yeah, watch the old Karen
2021
videos.
video that'll be coming out.
Oh, wow. You're putting so much pressure on me. Okay.
Oh, wait, sorry, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. There's stuff that I'm working on, but I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. So I'll just say, go follow me on Twitter, and I will probably talk about it there.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. And I mean, a thought I just had now. I don't know if this is too bleak, but you could make the next KB video an in memoriam. Because, I mean, we're realizing how many KBs we've lost in the last 3 years, and that might be a way to change the format.
I feel like I have to do... Well, this has been a question, too, where it's like I did it 2 years in a row, and I used the song Boys both times.
Yes.
Do I keep using the same song? I don't think I'm allowed to use that as an in memoriam. The tone is
you know
not
this song.
right.
How can I live without you?
Well, here's my question.
I want to know.
Can you do like a sad piano
A cover of it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Is this disrespectful?
No, it's the opposite. You're paying the utmost respect.
Okay. Right. Because it's like you were so hot when you were alive.
Right.
And now we miss you so much.
Right.
Something to think about.
Some of the KBs.
I'll submit it to the Oscars and they'll be like, yeah, we'll play this instead of our in memoriam reel, which makes everyone angry every year.
Yeah. Didn't they do something weird this year?
I think it was just so fast because so many people died.
Jesus. Yes, it was. Right, and it was.
They played Flight of the Bumblebees.
No, but they played that fucking Stevie Wonder song. That's so fast. They played a Stevie Wonder song that was like very propulsive, and it was like every other. It was genuinely.
It
fast.
was like a peppy song. Yeah. It was not.
It was
right.
the sky. What's that song called?
I can't remember, but I know what you're talking about. Obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do remember that the song was too fast, and it was timed with the people too, so it was kind of like, names every second.
Yeah,
it was like It's the End of the World, the REM song.
It did feel.
I don't think it was that, but yes.
Regis Philbin,
Let me find it. It was Stevie Wonder's "As."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It was just too fast.
It was not.
Fast.
And then they were like, well, a lot of people died.
Yeah. It's
so but then they all ended up, of course, they always do like missing a couple people, and everyone was mad, and
which made it more egregious.
Right.
Also, like especially with this year's ceremony, I'm like, you're in memoriam. You could have given it 15 minutes. I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
Would have made for good television. Anyway,
we're done.
Yeah. Wrap us up.
You gotta go. Gotta get
Thank you guys for having
the
me
boss
back.
baby's blowing up your phone, demanding you get back to the office.
Blowing up my phone. Are you kidding me? Yes.
Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty for our social media.
Marie!
Big shout out to Marie. Getting that Barty bump on the old episode.
Oh yeah,
went straight to the top of the charts. The public loves Barty Party. Thank you to Alex Barron and AJ McKeon for editing, JJ Birch, Nick Loriano for our research, Lee Montgomery and the Great American Novel for a theme song, Jobo and Pat Rounds for our artwork. Go to blankies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit, and you can go to patreon.com/blankcheck, where now at this point we're in the Mummy, right? We're in those tombs. We're getting wrapped up in the Mummy.
What?
Let's see. It looks like we are. No. We're going to have Somebody's Watching Me on the 11th.
Okay.
Another Adrienne Barbeau film,
Yes.
a little before this one.
Yes.
And then The Mummy will start
Okay.
on the 21st.
Okay. And
Yeah, we're going to do The Mummy.
chronology's a little off, but Elvis, much mentioned today.
We'll
will
do
also be
Elvis as
happening.
well. Yeah, like we're peppering in those TV movies as bonuses. Yeah.
Yes, and I think we're going to do body bags as well when we get to that. But maybe. We'll see.
Scorpion King might have to take precedence,
Oh
but
my
we'll see.
God.
We'll
Maybe
see.
we can sprinkle body bags in
I feel like
somewhere
body bags
else.
is later, but anyway.
Yeah, no, it is, but it's just how many 11ths we have left in the year. You know what I mean?
How many 11s we have left in our lifetime?
Wow.
Life's just a series of 11s, isn't it?
It sure is. That's right.
It sure is. Tune in next week for The Thing.
That thing.
And as always, I just remembered my plan for the end of this episode was to solemnly read off a list of KBs we lost, but now I feel like it would be stepping on the pitch I just gave you to do
No,
an
no,
in
no.
memoriam
You can do
video.
it.
No, just pick
I'm not
like
gonna do it. I'm not going to do it.
just say something about peens.
Yeah, just say Snake Plissken, snake dick.